Yeah.
Hello, I can hear us.
Oh, can you hear me finally?
Yay, we
Yes.
can hear you.
Oh,
Yes,
good.
you're quiet though. I guess your mic's further away. There you go.
Oh, I should pull mine towards me a little bit more.
Big J, you're
That's
early. We'll be talking about it. Good thing is definitely not where I'd land, but also worried is not necessarily what you have to do. We'll talk about it extensively.
Yeah.
Like extensively. Don't worry.
Runestones are in fact a thing.
That is true.
Yes.
Hello, J-Man.
I like the runestones in Diablo better myself, but you know.
A little bit more gameplay impacting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Those are just in 2.
Just in 2. I don't know if they said they're doing those in 4 or not.
They are, which
Oh,
is
they
great.
are.
Because those were 2 is the best, and runes are part of that.
Oh, are we going adventuring when Diablo 4 comes out?
Absolutely, 100%.
Okay, excellent. I'll probably get it on PC anyway, so.
Okay.
You two
That'll
have
work
fun.
out.
Child of her, and thank you so much for the.
I know. I know that Diablo is a 4-letter word for you. I understand. That's why I didn't ask.
Big J, that is a loaded question that I'm not going to answer right now. I will say that the general public is reacting. I am not going to say in the pre-show if it's overreacting or not because people will clip me and then post on Twitter and call me a shill. But people are having feelings.
They're going to do that anyway.
They probably are. But at least we can defer it till later in the show.
Yeah.
Okay.
See, I'm so glad I just have such unfamiliarity with Reddit that I wouldn't even know to look where negative stuff about me is.
Yeah.
I'm sure
I
it's
just never sign up. I never have. I've got negative connotations from way back when.
Understandably, irrationally upset. That is a pretty good summation. Understandably, irrationally upset. There are layers there. But yeah, I think that's pretty close.
It is kind of like an onion, yes.
I like... Jay Correct, I'm going to credit you. Because I'm writing that down. I like that.
Yeah. That's probably the most accurate way to describe that.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Because it feels bad. And it makes sense for it to feel bad. But when you break things down, it's really not significant.
I mean, it's something. It's not everything.
Right. Yes. Yeah.
It's very easy to go on the slipperiest slope imaginable, like the action park water slide of slippery slopes.
I mean, the thing I think about as well, which I know can be a hard thing to do, but like when I consider that I am never ever going to try and qualify for anything through Hearthstone ladder, that means that, like, if I apply that similarly to BGs, I have no reason to need the 4 characters, right? Because no way in hell am I going to qualify for Lobby Legends. Like, that is not a thing. In which case, I'm just playing for fun, and maybe I'm a little worse than other people. Okay.
I'm pretty sure if you're going to be the new Gia Edel, I think you have to do that.
I am not. I am not good at auto battlers, right? Like, couldn't handle the items in TFT.
They're better now.
Winning is fun, and I go on huge losing streaks playing off-meta decks.
Yeah.
Okay, so do we want to like do the podcast thing where we take the things that we say
and actually record them and put them on a internet feed so that other people can listen to them after the fact instead of just live?
I like the way you think.
That's interesting. That's a good idea. We should patent that.
What if we did other things that podcasts do too?
So,
such as
the news section, just me scrolling browser tabs this week, which is easier for OBS and more difficult for my emotional state. We'll be fine. We'll be okay.
Yeah, well, we will get through this together. I dare say we will all be better off at the other side of this.
No, let's not go nuts.
I think I really line up most with Kibler in terms of response.
Yeah. We'll see. That
quests suck.
All right. I'm gonna press recording.
These quests are cool.
I'm gonna press recording.
Recording.
If you all would like to follow in my footsteps, let's go. Okay.
Well, there's only one pair of footsteps because you're carrying us.
So, y'all ready?
Yep.
3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. Starting the show in 5, 4, 3, 2.
Shadows hide you. I am listening. Our paths converge.
So good to see you.
Hail to you. Never lose hope.
Here for a chat.
I hear you. It has only begun. Fight on, friend.
I hear your keyboard, whoever that is. Hi, Steve. Hello and welcome to episode 358 of Coin Conceit, a Runestone podcast dedicated to making the competitive side of the game more accessible to you. It is Thursday, August 25th in the evening. Joining you from Gadsden, New York, it's me, Ridiculous Hat. From Nomergon, Ohio, we have Edelweiss.
Hello.
And from Northern Massachusetts, it's Wicked Good. You're muted now because of your keyboard.
Damn it. Hi.
This is my own fault, and I take credit and responsibility for it. I asked you to mute, and then you muted, and I don't know what I expected.
Yeah. These are just the consequences of your actions, is what this is.
Yeah. A lot of that going around lately. So, listeners, thank you so much for your reviews. Actually, just thank you so much for listening. Watchers, thank you so much for watching. Reviewers, thank you so much for reviewing. Patrons, I've done this bit too many times. Thanks for supporting us directly. We appreciate that. Really helps us, upgrade the show, but reviews also help other people find the show, which is really important to us. No new patrons this week. I'm sure everyone is just saving up for their perks, but otherwise, thank you so much, everyone that's supporting us. Yes, I am going in right away. That's what we're doing, because what everyone knows is that this is an economy episode. That's what's going to happen. There's going to be economy talk. It's not the only thing we're talking about. But world, listeners out there, if you didn't realize there were economy changes, first of all, I can't tell you how grateful we are that we are your only source of Hearthstone news, and I can't tell you how important it is. If that is the case, do not go on social media this week. Don't do it. Save yourselves. We're gonna try and protect you as best we can. We're going to have some nuance. We're going to have some discussion. There are going to be a wide range of opinions. We're not going to defend or attack anybody, but it's been, oh boy, the discourse this week has been a month. It's been a month of discourse in a week. It's been a thing. So, I'm quoting, Jay Correct in our chat had a really, really amazing phrase. There are economy changes and people are understandably irrationally upset. I thought it was a really nice phrase. I'm throwing that at the top of the episode. However, there's a bunch of other stuff going on, and also, we're humans with human lives. So, Edelweiss, how is your human life and ladder going?
I just switched over to estrogen patches instead of pills today, so I'll let you know how that goes after a week. I'm really bad at like remembering to take stuff, so I've been on unintentionally a half dose for like years. Which may end up being good if, transitional care gets banned and I end up having to use my stores for a while. But
somehow we started as an economy episode and got darker and heavier in the intro.
Yeah, I mean, that is certainly taking lemons and making lemonade, but I mean, let's hope that's not, gonna come to pass. Though I will say, if you do want advice on remembering to take pills, both of your co-hosts have ADHD and have a lot of practice with with both forgetting things and then trying to remember them. So
that is true. I mean, I've gotten it, or I had gotten it to the point where I pretty reliably would take the first one, but it's just I would almost never take the second one. So now those are backlogged for a time of need, and for now I'm going to be using the patches, which is just once a week, much easier to keep track of, and and then those can remain stored for we're a Jewish household. We of course have an escape plan if everything goes to crap.
God
So
damn. We are setting a tone.
Listen, it could only go up from here, right? Like
Yes.
we know up front we're talking about runestones. We're just gonna get everything out of the way, so by the time that we actually start talking about runestones, it's gonna seem like a walk in the park. It's gonna be great.
Okay. So I'm going to reel it back a little bit. Listen, I'm glad that your medical stuff is getting better and also that you have contingency plans. Let's reel it back a little bit. Can we talk about video games?
Yeah, so tried a little bit of a new Enraged Warrior I found pretty weird. I feel like the toughest thing with Enraged Warrior
Oh, is that the
is
forensic
that
duster list?
Yeah, no
The Grovekeeper
whirlwind
list.
effects feel good to play. And
Whirlwind
that warrior
Combatant
list
is
was,
okay, but the list is too many fours.
yeah. Yeah, so like the forensic does like that deck was teched in a pretty specific way, and I think for where I was on ladder, it was not teched for that moment. But also, it's just like man the cannons is okay. Like there's whirlwind effects you can do, but it's very things feel amazing or terrible, right? Because they're situational. Nothing feels like Skipper, where it's just always amazing. And
You know what feels like Skipper, by the way? Enraged Warrior in Wild. Oh
Oh,
boy,
Oh.
I did.
Blood-
So
Well, that's not like Skipper. That is Skipper.
I was
Bloodsworn
doing a
Mercenary.
co-op this week with Number Theory, and we did Skipper Bloodsworn on an Anima Extractor, and then the following turn, on turn 5, we played a 1921 Acolyte of Pain. I would recommend it. It was big. Yeah.
So yeah, that's the kind of thing I would like to do, and there just isn't the engine for it in standard. And honestly, even some of the games that you do get going, your opponent has 40 life and they play Starfish, and then you're done. So yeah, that felt pretty mid. But after a substantial amount of time working on various paladins, I tried an XL Countess list where the only neutrals were Bran and Renethal, and that felt okay, but sometimes you do just run out of stuff because pretty much all the paladin card draw is extremely cantrippy, where it's just 1-for-1s, maybe 1-for-2 in the case of service spell. But I mean, in some sense, the Bran is there just to be able to go like Bran Knight of Anointment or Bran, the one that Banana Man. Yeah. So
Banana Man.
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes it felt really great. I got to Bran a Countess, although that's pretty rare, and that's hilarious. Just increase those odds of hitting the Lady Sathino. But I settled on a list that honestly has a lot more in common with older Holy Smite Paladin lists. But I've got one copy of Divine Toll, and it still has the Queen Ajara, so primarily what you want to do is get your ring off Ajara, and then if anything sticks, you go toll, grace, grace.
So
And
you wanna literally ring the bell.
exactly.
Literally ring the bell.
So each toll is 10, assuming empty board, which you can't always get, but a lot of times you can get it where they just have a couple of things. So 2 of the hits kill their stuff, and then everything else hits your minion, and then you've got the graces as well. So you can get a lot of stats out of nowhere, really pressure people. It does feel like I have to have the Myrmidon Holy Maki roll draw package, and the healing can be pretty good for stabilizing against something like a rogue that's gotten to hit you with a big weapon a few times. Cariel is still really good. I mean, been saying this for a while, but taking half damage, there's a few more weapon destruction-y things out there, but it's really not super common. So yeah, that's been going all right. And of course the clears are great into rogue because pyro equality city tax, righteous defense, all that kind of stuff. It's really solid there.
And then you just holy Maki roll for 20 after they hit you, and you're fine. Yeah.
I'm not going to say that rogue is not good because that would be inaccurate, but I am going to say this has not really turned into a rogue meta. And
a druid meta.
There will be standard talk at some point this episode. I wouldn't expect it to be particularly protracted, but we are going to talk about it even though it's not the thing, because the main thing to talk about in standard this week is that nothing changed, which we weren't expecting. And also looking back at it, last week we said maybe they just revert Edwin. If that was the only possibility, they chose not to do that, and it probably was the right call because they would just kill one more class. But we'll talk about that at some point. Yeah. Steve, how's your life in life? Do you have any dark shit you want to get out of the way up front?
I mean, Quest Priest is dark, right? So
I'm marking it down, Edel. You can bleep it.
Bleeps are the worst.
Leave it in. I don't care. I don't even care. Don't even care.
I'm just living my best life. All I've wanted to play is Quest Priest. That's all I've been playing. I played it on stream Monday night, got up to like 380 legend, just, wrecking everything. I've dropped a bit since then, mainly because I then had to go to work and sit in meetings, and then trying to play after that has not been my friend. But I'm just happy I get to play Priest again. It's been a little bit worse because the rogues are going away and the druids are coming out, and the druid is miserable. But I've also been doing a fair amount of coaching on the deck because that's been kind of a popular request given that the deck is finally good. And I know so that coaching session with Number Theory was immediate. That Hat talked about was immediately after my coaching session with Number Theory, where we were playing Quest Priest, and our last game of the night was against a druid.
I got to watch the end of it. I got to see the last two turns. I tuned into spec because it was we were 5 minutes before our time. He's like, we might go a little long in this Quest Priest game. I tuned into spec, and there was a fatigue tick for 12.
So we stole Topior like on turn 4 with Theatar, right? So we had that in our hand like the entire game, and they clearly drew Denathrius on the late side because we got through. We got to a point where they miracle growth on an empty deck just to get like an 8/8 down. We cleared that, and then they passed on 20 mana, and we're like, why would they do that? And so we kind of thought about it for a while. It's like, okay, well, clearly their Denathrius can't kill us. So their way, and we had all we had left was the 7, and we're sitting with this Topio that's been in our hand the entire game. And and I said to him, like, they want us to finish the quest, and then they're going to Theatar, they're going to take our quest reward, and that's the way they're going to win the game because they have no other win condition. So what if we just don't? So we just sat there and did the best turn you could do as a priest, which is Hero Power Pass. And that went on for a few turns. They were already
I'm so unhappy listening to this. I know it's correct, and I saw it happen, and I thought it was smart, but like...
Yeah. So we eventually just got them to the point where they had to play it just to get something to not die. And yeah, it was like fatigue 10 or 11 by the time that they had played out the Theatar and not taken our 7, and we just played the Topior, and then they conceded. And it was pretty cool. I mean, I haven't seen a fatigue. I mean, I'm used to seeing fatigue go up that high, but it's been a while because games just don't go that deep into fatigue. But yeah, fatigue 10 or 11, like they're just gonna sit here. We had like 12 cards in deck. It's like, who cares? Like we'll just sit here and it's like, should we play the Cathedral? Nope, we're not playing the Cathedral. We're not drawing anything. We are just sitting here and waiting for them to die. This is peak Priest. You may not like it, but this is what peak Priest performance looks like.
I don't like it.
Not today, but earlier, I did run a couple of druids out of cards as Paladin because they just didn't hit the Denathrius soon enough, I guess.
Yeah, they don't run Cold Tooth Mine anymore.
And then with taking half damage from Cariel, I would like survive at 4 or something, and then clear their board, and they just had nothing left. And since they're guff at that point, they can't even hero power to like hit me for one every turn. And it's just like, cool, all right, you have no more things. Guess you're done.
Yeah, so it's been a fun week. That also been since I haven't been up to playing at that level the last couple of days, the TFT mid set just hit the PBE, so I've been playing a bunch of that in the evenings, and that's been fun. The Kaisa's back in the pool, and I apparently am just a Kaisa stan because it doesn't matter what game she's in at this point, I end up playing Kaisa. So Runeterra, League, TFT doesn't matter. I end up playing something with Kaisa. So, but that's been pretty fun. I'm kind of giving up on the dream of getting to Diamond again this season in TFT, but because I'm just gonna play the PB and I'm kind of done with the regular set. But it's been a fun change of pace. So,
gosh, it has been a minute. Kaisa's an 80 carry, right?
Yeah.
Oh, you don't strike me as a.
I'm not normally, but there's just something about the pew pew lifestyle that appeals to me. I don't know what, like, I don't like playing. Like when I've played, and mostly Wild Rift, because like PC League, forget it. But at least Wild Rift is over in a little bit more reasonable amount of time. But like when I try to play support, inevitably, like I just get somebody who doesn't know what they're doing. So at least if I'm the one who doesn't know what they're doing, I can only blame myself. Right.
See, when I played, it was always like with a bunch of people, right? So we all had our spots for the most part, and I was generally mid.
Yeah. See, Celestalon's also a Kaisa one trick, so we're brothers in arms, I suppose.
Yeah, I liked Kassadin and Lissandra. Those are Freezy and Voidy.
That sounds about right.
So I haven't played any MOBAs this week because I don't like MOBAs.
I haven't played in years.
Probably a good idea. My experience of being around people who play MOBAs is that they get angry when they solo queue. That has been my experience. Yep. But yes. Steve, you don't have to answer. The Fifth Amendment protects you.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, I've been playing Hearthstone. This past week, the discourse has been so kind of sour that it actually made me enjoy the game less, but I still found ways to enjoy the game. I was, dicking around with whatever in top 1K on Americas. I found a warrior list. We talked about it a little bit. Groveskeeper's warrior list with double forensic duster. It plays Theatar and Vol'jin, which are both very, very good right now, especially if the Theatar is an 8/8, which it has been for me a few times, or if the Vol'jin's big, whatever. So I have been enjoying that. I started off going 8-2 with that deck, which correlated pretty directly with drawing Anima Extract in my opening hand. Then I stopped doing that and the win rate leveled out. Tried some Naga Priest. It was all right, except for the games where it wasn't. Played a teeny bit of, Kopi Demon Hunter decks. Turns out they weren't good enough. Who could have guessed? And then yesterday decided I want to win some games, so I just played some Rogue. Rogue's pretty good. I won a bunch.
Yep.
Yeah. I played a bunch of mirrors. I played a mirror against Ant, where on turn 3 I made a 10/10. He Edwin for one card and just left. Like, that happens a lot in mirrors. They're fast. Over pretty quickly.
Yep.
Not a lot of defense in that mirror. It's just kind of who goes off first and then who's able to close the deal. Haven't found a lot of Drakas going on, but I'm just making big Edwins and ghosts and hitting people. And it's, if the deck was slightly less good, I would be a deck that I really loved. But the way that it wins feels like you win most games when your opponent just can't do anything about the thing you did. The games where there's back and forth and they're close and in it, even if I lose, I have a good time with them. And there are some games where it's really, really close and then you just barely get over the line with your last card. Love that stuff. Don't really love the turn 3 10/10s. Wish those were a little bit toned down just so I could play the deck and enjoy it, but feel like I have to work a little harder. But good deck. Fun deck. Enjoyable. Been playing just some stuff in Wild because a lot of the things enabled in Wild are cool. There's Reno Jackson built a Fell Demon Hunter list that tops it at 4 that plays double Razorglaive Sentinel, and you just play every good 1-drop, and you Stilt Stepper, and you Magnifying Glaive, just keep the curve super duper low and keep churning and draw every good Demon Hunter card that's ever been printed, and you play Renathal. So it's just all good, every good Demon Hunter card that's ever been printed that costs 4 or less, and Renathal. It's fine. It's fun. And Rage Warrior is really fun in that format. You get to Anima Extractor Crab Riders. Like it's
Oh,
they get
Oh, that's
big.
disgusting.
They're big and
oh,
whooshy.
man.
Right? And like I
Oh.
talked about this earlier, I think, when you get to Skipper, Bloodsworn, and Anima Extractor and then play Blood Boil Brutes, like it just your hands, like everything isn't.
Oh,
I forgot about Blood Boil Brute.
oh my
Yeah.
goodness.
God, I miss it. Maybe I should play some Wild and Rage Warriors.
It's
man.
dude, it's so good, and you get to Forge of Souls up Ankar and Imbued Axe. Like it's really, really fun. It's really
And
fun.
you got Core Chron Elites, and I'm sure, or are they
We
not
don't
even
play.
make the
No,
cut?
I don't think we
No.
even play it. It's
Or
where
3 charges you're gonna make bigger isn't good enough. That sounds about right.
Yeah, we have two.
Let's-
We have
Crazy
two more
Stretch.
charges now.
We have Crazy Stretch.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, true.
Yeah. It does play. So the only card it plays that costs more than 3 air quotes is Blood Boil Brute, which costs nothing ever. But yeah, you have Crazed Wretches. You get to Town Crier for stuff. Eternium Rover gets really, really big. Obviously Battle Rage is pretty fun. Nerebar Warlord is just really good against all the shamans and whatever. It's the greatest hits album of Enrage cards.
Do you play South Sea Deckhand in that deck?
No.
Well, just because it's charged with a weapon that you make bigger, right?
The only pirate that you want is Skipper, so that you always draw
yeah.
Skipper with Ankar.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Because you're running Ankar.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
I'm gonna paste this in the show notes because I am certain that people that played with these cards will want to play with this deck. It is super duper fun. Really, really enjoyed it. But yeah, like it's standard is I don't want the play patterns in standard to be around forever. I'm not as doomy and gloomy as other people, but I recognize that they should change some stuff. They're probably going to on September 13th, like we projected, because that's the next balance window. I am still capable of having fun in the format. It's not quite as fun as I want it to be, but I enjoy playing it, and reading about it actually makes it less fun. So I've just pulled back a little bit on that. I'm glad they nerfed Snowfall Guardian, even though I recognize it may have contributed to the format being a little bit more limited. Don't care. I was tired of playing against that. I'm tired of playing against Mage Freezes too, but I am more than happy to play standard now until I'm not more than happy, and then I stop playing it for a little while. But so far, I've been playing it every day and been happy about it.
Yeah, I feel like the very top is where things are really rough, because you look at the matchups and it's just like druids and rogues
and mages
and and the occasional other thing. But I've seen just like tracker lists of the past dozen or so matches where it's just druid and rogue, and
sure,
some of those are aggro and some of those are ramp, right? So a little bit deceptive, but in some respects I always find that more frustrating, because that just makes my mulligan worse always.
Yeah, there are 3
you
viable
just
druid
mulligan
archetypes, right?
for the aggro druid. Yeah, like
Yeah,
I once I figured out that aggro druid was a thing, I just started mulliganing for it, because like I'm not beating ramp druid anyway, so it doesn't matter. So I may as well just
sure.
But even then, like the ramp druid's gonna kill you eventually. The beast druid's gonna kill you on like turn 5. So like you need the cards for it, as long as you remember that it's a thing.
Also, from my deck's sort of standpoint, if I'm a paladin and I choose to keep equality city tax or equality pyro, that is not the early game I want against a ramp druid. It potentially just wins me the game against aggro druid, because they go all in, and since I have 40 life, I'm not dead, and then I clear their board and I develop behind that. But against ramp druid, I want Stewart. I want just like stuff on curve, and the stuff on curve is way too slow against aggro druid. But if I just keep clears, like I really have to pick my poison in that matchup, and
your margins aren't good enough to just keep the defensive stuff and win.
Yeah.
You have to do something or have the right answer, and you don't get to do both, and picking the wrong one matters. And there are 3 druids you have to mulligan for: aggro druid, ramp druid, and rogue, and all 3 have different matchup spreads.
That's what annoys me more. I don't mind as much when it's like beast druid, because I can deal with that. Like Claim the Scene is an OTK against beast druid, it's fine. But
aggro druid, don't use the HSR name. There's one beast in the deck. They just haven't redone their algo
anymore.
It's
beast?
It's always going to be beast druid in my heart hat, but you know.
There are no beasts.
But
there are literally no beasts now?
No.
It's like Garfield minus Garfield, okay? Like
you might be running Claw Fury Adept, but I definitely have seen lists without Claw Fury Adept.
Okay. So we'll call it not beast druid, okay? Fair enough. So against not beast druid, I'm fine, because Clean the Scene is an OTK. But it's like when I run into like a warlock or a mage, and it turns out they're a rogue, I'm not happy. Like that's when I get annoyed, and then I remember that the Maestra is still a thing, and then I get annoyed again because I just like being able to mulligan against the class that I see and not have to worry about. Oh, or is it a rogue? You know.
I wonder if we should call it Impossible Beast Druid, because it has no meat.
But then it sounds like it might have imps in it, and that's a warlock deck.
It's true. The Beyond Druid.
There you go.
Yeah. Anyways, I've been enjoying Hearthstone Standard, and I'm not saying that because they're paying me. They're not paying me. I enjoy having fun with the game. But I do look forward to the balance window on the 13th because there are some things that I want to stop playing against, mostly mage freezes. But I could
do with a few more double Denathriuses. That would be nice.
Yeah.
With fewer of them.
But I do think that the format has some fun play patterns, just has some other stuff that I want to go away eventually, but I'm having fun right now. So yeah. All right. 25 minutes in. Good time to, we
stalled it long enough, I suppose.
We revved up the engine. All right. Who's ready for Econ Talk? Because here we go.
Gadgets and Gazette always gets the scoop.
All right, there is a large Battlegrounds update. If you have not been paying attention to what's been going on in the greater world of Hearthstone over the past few days, I am jealous of you. I am grateful that you choose us as your news source. We are going to try and cover this with as much nuance as we possibly can. Please take the whole section in context. It is very easy to take some of what we say as a clip or sentence or whatever out of context. We're not here to defend these decisions, and we're also not here to freak out about them. We're here to discuss them like rational adults. It means there's going to be some ups and downs, twists and turns of the conversation. We recognize people are upset. We recognize that the stated intention from the company has been that these are necessary changes to support the mode and support the game. I don't trust large corporations, but I do trust people, especially considering a lot of the public statements that we've had on social media from the developers talking about the nature of these systems are from the people that didn't make these decisions. We haven't heard from anyone in the business team because the business team doesn't interact with the public. That's probably in their best interest. It's definitely in our best interest. So the people that we're hearing from, developers, individuals, are often game designers that work on separate products. Shout out to Celestalon for just throwing himself in front of every single bullet there is out there. When a game designer that does not work in economy and does not work on Battlegrounds tells you things, you know that there has to be some merit to the things he's saying because you wouldn't jump in front of a stupid lie that's immediately disproven, especially if you could just also say nothing. There's no reason to take heat and lie when the lie would get immediately debunked. So I'm going to assume some amount of good faith here from the people that we're hearing from, even though the company statements will take them at face value but remain skeptical because companies are not your friends. But our friends are our friends. They're jumping out there. I think there is some merit to what they have to say. We'll listen to it. We'll explain it. But also, people are upset about these changes because the game got more expensive, and there is a layer of obfuscation that was added this week that generally does not lead to consumer-friendly practices. Okay.
And I think the one thing that we should add also is that, like, it is very natural to have feelings about this, one way or the other. Your feelings are valid. Right? No matter what your feelings are valid. I think that what we're going to try to do is try to inject some logic into the discussion, right? And try to talk through it so that you can reconcile that and maybe take a step back and have a different perspective. But however you're feeling, it is okay to be upset. It's valid to feel that way. But we're nobody's saying that you are not entitled to feel the way that you feel.
Yep. This is a long disclaimer. Let's all work through this like reasonable adults, where we're going to have some ups, we're going to have some downs, we're going to talk about all the different things going on. We're not going to overreact. We're not going to freak out. But also, we're not going to sugarcoat what's going on. So, keep that in mind. Also, do not get into people's mentions in social media and get uppity or go into Twitch streams and talk about everyone can have their own feelings, but don't judge anyone else for having different feelings. Okay.
Yeah. The developers and other streamers are not responsible for this decision. They should not be the target of whatever feelings you have.
Okay. So, where do we start? BG's is getting an entire economy overhaul. Some of that economy stuff is translating into the rest of the game. The majority of what we're going to talk about today is related to BG's economy and BG's in general. This is going to be a BG-centric episode. This is where the most majority of the changes are coming, but there are some whole game economy changes coming. So BG's is getting its own Battlegrounds track. You are going to hear a lot of confusing language about quests and missions because the word quest is heavily overburdened in Hearthstone. It is used in many, many things. There is a gameplay mechanic coming up in BG's called quests. There is also the removal of Battlegrounds' weekly quests for experience in the regular rewards track, and a new BG's rewards track specifically that has BG's missions, which are the BG's equivalent of daily and weekly quests, weekly quests. So, there's a BG-specific track. It gives BG-specific experience. It has missions. There is a free tier and a paid tier, unlike the core rewards track, where you have two parallel tracks, free and paid. They both go at the same time, and you have rewards at the top for the premium, rewards at the bottom for the free. Some levels have both. Some levels have one or the other. The BG's track is sequential. A level is either unlocked or it isn't, based on if you're premium or free. So there's something at every level, but if you're premium, you get all of them. If you're free, you only get some of them. This is how Runeterra works. There are other games that work this way. It is a serial track. Marvel Snap is the same thing. So you will get 3 weekly missions. They each give 60 experience. It is the rewards track lasts for an entire season, which is 4 months or so. It's between 0.2 patches. If you complete every single mission, you will finish the track. You will have extra. And missions are banked. So, mission banking. Let's talk about what mission banking means. Mission banking means if you don't finish a weekly and it goes Monday, you keep it. And then the other missions get in line invisibly behind it. If you want to wait until the last week of the season and do 4 months worth of missions in a week, you can. They're only 3 active at a time, but the rest just wait in line quietly. They only reset when the season rolls over. So, if you want to finish this track for free, totally can. There's no experience boost from the premium. There's no need for it. You'll get all the way through it. There is stuff on the free track, emotes, skins, strikes, whatever, and also additional stuff on the paid track. The mission stacking, by the way, awesome. I want it in regular Hearthstone, and I want it in Marvel Snap. I would like it in both, please, because I would like to be able to do my missions whenever I want to do them. I think that is really, really nice and very player-friendly. There are other things in here, though, that may be less player-friendly.
Well, hang on a sec. First, I want to reiterate, yes, that's awesome, and I don't think I've seen that in anything else. But I think it's important to note as well that if you are hesitant, like, say I'm casual, I don't know if I'm going to play a lot of BGs, but it might happen, and I find myself, we're coming up towards the end of the season, and I'm like, you know what, I actually ended up completing the track. I didn't think I would, but it happened, you know. You can say, well, if I know I'm going to be completing the track, then it's more worth it to me to get the cosmetic stuff. So you can say, all right, I'm going to buy, you know, do the paid part of the reward track, and since I've already completed everything, you'll just retroactively get all the stuff that you, you know, weren't getting as you were inching through. So, that's a nice thing. You know, it's pretty standard, but I think it's something that people aren't always sure of. And at least for me, you know, if I'm not concerned about the upfront stuff that you get for the paid stuff, it can be nice to sort of figure out how far am I actually going to get in the track before I decide if I want to pay for the rewards.
Yeah, the experience gain on the core track is something that I know people really feel like you have to buy it on day one or you're missing out because there's a whole lot of experience gain that you don't get. There's no need for experience gain here at all. Just doing your weeklies will get you through. There is also experience gained in-game. It's BG's experience only. You get 10 experience for a top 4 and 0 experience for a bottom 4. That gets you further along the track. This is clearly an anti-botting measure, but you don't need a single top 4 to finish the track. Not a single one. You can do it all with missions and still have a month to spare.
Though it is worth pointing out that The other thing that comes with the track is going to be the 2 extra hero slots. So if that could affect how it, because experience that's not through missions is tied to wins, because top 4 is a win in Battlegrounds. So that progression might be a little bit slower. Though, when you buy the Tavern Pass for Constructed, there's an XP multiplier on it. So it kind of ends up being the same thing.
Kind of. It's the BG's pass with the mission stacking and the missions being so player favorable. I think that there's not really as much danger finishing. But yes, you ripped the Band-Aid off. You talked about the biggest controversy. There are 2 controversies this week that are packaged in the same article, but I think the biggest one is hero selection. So, the other things that used to be in BG's perks, early access to heroes, emotes, stats, whatever, those are free to everybody now. But getting 4 heroes at start is paid only and with real money only. It's, with real money or runestones, you don't have to worry about what runestones mean yet. We will explain, but basically, you cannot buy them with in-game gold. Cannot do that. So, BG's players used to be able to farm in-game gold very easily. Now they can't. Well, you can, but it doesn't do anything. Gold doesn't talk to BG's anymore. So there's no way to earn BG's perks with in-game currency or in-game play. It is now a fixed cost of $15 every season, every 4 months. So $45 a year for hero selection. If you don't care about having 4 heroes, you can keep playing. You got a bunch more free stuff. If you do care about having 4 heroes, which I would say that most BG's players do, this is money for something that used to be earnable for free, and it has a gameplay impact. How much the gameplay impact, you think people have made all sorts of arguments and done all sorts of math for it, but it is significant.
Yeah, and I mean, for people who played all the modes, then maybe they were still buying it with money potentially, because you might have wanted to save that gold for packs. For BG's only players, there was nothing else to spend gold on, right? So like, if that was the only thing to spend the in-game gold, that you were getting all of the missions on the regular Tavern Pass, so they wouldn't have been spending any money at all, and now they're being asked to.
Yep. And we do have a question in chat. Do BG's progress the core rewards track? They still do. Core Hearthstone does not progress BG's, but BG still progresses core Hearthstone. You can still clear your weekly missions, your daily missions, whatever. You'll still get gold for playing BG's, just the gold doesn't do anything in BG's anymore. So yeah.
And they're removing the BG specific missions from the regular Tavern Pass.
Which is awesome for me.
Yeah.
Like, I know this is a minority of players, but I know there are some of us out there that were sort of like, okay, I guess there's this BG stuff on my track, like, but then getting the quests in our regular thing of like compete X amount of battlegrounds, like that was just kind of a reroll for me, right? The get top 4 in battlegrounds 4 times or something weekly. That was generally a reroll for me.
Yeah.
And I appreciate the sort of separation. Now, notably, if you do play BGs and you have something like the Battle Cries quest, that can still happen in BGs.
Yeah.
So it's just removing BG's specific stuff from the regular quests, but things that kind of can happen in that mode, you can still complete.
Hero powers, battle cries, deal damage to enemy heroes, sort of thing.
Like
though you can't spend mana because you don't spend mana in BGs. You spend gold, so that doesn't work. But yeah, you get for constructed only players. This is just a more sculpted experience with the core track. And also, if you're playing BGs, then this is on top of the normal track. It's BG's track and the normal track coexist. There's more here. But you don't mean to bury the lead. You now have to pay money for hero selection, whereas you didn't before. If you are a player that has any competitive interest in the game for whatever reason, externally, internally, whatever, this matters. The comparison that I used over in the Angry Chicken is, imagine if the first level of the Premium Tavern Pass in Constructed, you had to pay to unlock the ability to mulligan the left and rightmost cards in your hand. But with the caveat, I know that sounds impactful. It would be impactful. It would suck. But with the caveat that would be the comparison if they gave you every standard card for free. Because BGs, you don't pay for the cards. You only pay for the lobbies. So...
At which point we would say, wait, you mean I pay $15 every 4 months for all the cards? Where do I sign up?
Right. I said that on TAC yesterday, too, that, like, every standard player would slam that button until it broke. But you know, Constructed is a different ballgame. And we're a Constructed-focused show. This is going to be a different relationship with this because we didn't main BGs. We popped in there whenever. And I doubt that any of us really need the fourth hero. And, you know, my wife plays on the iPad all the time. She has never had 4 heroes. And she's like, oh, I'm getting more free stuff. But if you were a BG's main, this is now a dramatic impact to your gameplay experience that can only be resolved with money. It's $15 US. I'm not here to tell you if that's a large amount of money or not. I can tell you as a standard player, the combined cost of BGs for a year is less than one small standard bundle. But, you know, I am not here to means judge or police. It is money that you have to spend where before you didn't. That sucks. What you gonna do? You know, I don't expect anyone to be happy about that. The justification given is that BGs needs more money to support development of the mode. It's been 2.5 years for a mode that is incredibly, unbelievably free. They've put a lot of cosmetics out. There are like 180 hero skins they've released in the last year. One of the listeners over on TAC put together 179 hero skins. Think like a whole bunch of boards, whole bunch of emotes, whole bunch of strikes, whatever. It clearly didn't work because if it was working, they would never generate this much bad press just for fun. There's no way they would ever opt into this if the cosmetic pipeline was making them plenty of money. They had to put some kind of paywall down in front of the only thing that people cared about, which was hero choice. The only thing that people cared about, because they had nothing else to monetize. The other options, per lobby charges are awful. Can't do that with the amount of BGs that people like to play. Pay to access certain tribes just seems horrendous.
Gosh.
Yeah, you could, like, an idea that I had is, like, you could have a vanilla BG's lobby that never gets updated and that's free, and then if you want to play with the new stuff, you got to pay for it. But everything that I tried to figure out just sounded awful, and this is, buy the perks, go back to normal, but it's $15 US or whatever the equivalent is in your local currency.
Yeah. And I'm just going to say this, and I'm going to say it without any judgment or whatever, but at the end of the day, Blizzard is a business. Whether you believe that they are an ethical business or not, like, doesn't matter, right? We don't need to go there, right? But like, they are a business. Businesses exist to generate revenue. Modes and games that do not generate revenue stop getting updated. We know this. We've just seen it happen. It's called Heroes of the Storm, right? Yeah. So like that you know, the fact that I agree that this is a drastic step. People do not like being asked to pay for something they did not have to pay for before. That's not a secret. They knew there was going to be a backlash. This was a drastic step. And it continues to be a drastic step, but also that, you know, if we want BGs to be a mode going forward that gets the kind of support that it does, then it needs to make money. If everything else wasn't working, this is something that they had to take. I'm sure they're not happy about having to do it.
And listener, I don't want you to have heard what we just said. I don't want you to have heard, you get to support BG's development. Hooray for capitalism. Yeah, no. That's not what we said. Please don't think this is, you shouldn't be mad because the game gets to keep existing now. You have to pay more than before. It's okay to be mad. It's okay.
Yeah.
I would like to take this opportunity to remind everyone that basically the people for whom this decision is core are the ones whose job it is to make returns for investors. They basically have the doctrine of make money whenever, wherever, and as much as possible. And when corporate sees something like BG's with a massive player base that largely pays nothing, they want to know how they can tap that. And players who would never pay for BG's essentially have no value to the company unless they are recruiting people who will pay. So it's very likely that someone ran an estimate on how many players would be lost out of very justifiable frustrations. and compared it to how much they will make from doing this, and determined that it's worth it. And yeah, I've just insert companies are not our friends, but the devs legitimately care, as you said, Hat, because otherwise they wouldn't, put any kind of defense for this. And they put time and effort into making the game, right? So they love the game. If they put so much time into it. I see people playing off work hours the game that they work on. Like, so much goes into this. So remember to, still support workers and unions. Totally fine to be mad at the companies. Just make sure you're pointing your ire in the right direction.
Yeah. And I'm sure that there was a period of time when like BG's was justified by just increasing monthly average users, because that is a metric that a lot of, free to play games will use, because that eventually turns into conversion. But at a certain point, monthly average users doesn't put food on the table, right? Like, that does have to convert. And if it's not, and in this case, there were, cosmetics put on the table to try to get that to happen. If those weren't converting into sales, then, there are hard decisions that have to be made. I don't envy anybody who was involved in having to do this. It's, if you're upset about it, there's nothing wrong with feeling upset about it. It sucks to have to pay for something you didn't have to pay for before.
Yep. I will read exactly what they said for justification. We want Battlegrounds to be played and loved for years to come. This change will allow us to continue and support and make content for the growing Battlegrounds community. Though the ability to choose from among 4 heroes at the beginning of a match is changing to a paid-only feature, all players can still play Battlegrounds for free. We're committed to maintaining hero and gameplay balance so that the choice from 4 heroes is more about optionality than power. Pause. We're halfway through the statement. Come on, buddy. Come on. We're committed to maintaining hero and gameplay balance. Come on.
That part did not exactly ring true. I mean, if that was the case, maybe let's retire some heroes, because there are too many heroes in the pool. We talked about this on the Battlegrounds episode that never aired. Like, there are too many heroes in the pool. It's impossible to keep 72 heroes in balance. Maybe let's retire some instead of introducing 2 more in this patch. If we're gonna do that, like, that's the part that did feel a little bit disingenuous rather, when I read it, because like we've anyone who's engaged enough in Battlegrounds to care about this knows that hasn't been true.
And were they not committed before? Like, it's the BG's devs, they try, right?
Yeah.
It's
just an impossible task with as many as they have. I'm not saying that I'm not saying they're bad at it. I'm just saying that it's like when my the reason my kids can't keep their room clean, because they've got 12 years of crap up there that they haven't used. And then when we try to ask them to try to take some stuff out, then they cry. Right. So then the room doesn't get clean. It's just like they're not set up to succeed with that size of a pool.
Yes. So we're making BG's devs cry. I think that's what I got out of that.
Yes.
I really liked what Kibler had to say in his thread in terms of reasons why it is challenging to monetize BGs in the ways that they have, right? Because it is just so inconsequential to disengage from any of the cosmetics and play a ton of it. And I think that's honestly what the majority of people did.
Yeah. And also the fact that the primary cosmetic is the hero skin, which you can go a while without seeing it, right? Totally. And then when a new hero comes out, then you have to buy more, and that can kind of feel like a treadmill, right?
And
so
you can buy a bundle with 9 heroes, and you only want 3 of the skins, and 3 of them you have a cool skin, so you're not going to disable them. The other 3 you're never going to play. And then also, if you have a strike that you really like, you don't need to buy another one, and so on and so forth. Like, it's all the cosmetics. Random hero kind of helped this in Constructed, because I was having the problem of, I'm never going to buy another bundle. I like my skins. So why would I ever spend more? And then they said, well, now you can rotate through them. In BGs, it's just, once I get a board, once I get a strike, once I get hero skins that I like, why would I buy more? Or why would I buy them at all if I don't main the mode? It clearly wasn't working as a pipeline, because if it was, they'd never change it ever. They'd let everyone keep playing for free and talking about how great the mode was and recommending it to their friends and dodge all this bad press and just say, okay, just keep buying your pretty pictures and we'll keep making money. They would never change it if it was working.
Yeah, and Kibler in that same thread had a comparison to TFT, where you have a lot of I mean, you have boards and you have booms, which are the equivalent of strikes in TFT, but it's predominantly little legends, which are your little avatar that runs around the screen. But you have one at a time, and you can use that at every game. Like we were talking about Chibi Jinx before the show, you can just go in and pay $15 for a Chibi Jinx, but then you have that Chibi Jinx running around shooting rocket launchers in every game until you decide to change it out. You could buy a Battlegrounds hero skin and not see that for 10 games, and the games are like a half an hour long, right? So that's, it's I'm sure that I mean, for some people, like, you buy them all because you want to have a bunch of them and you want to have a collection. But if you're just like looking like, I just want to see this one cool skin, you may just not see it for a while, and then like, why did I spend the money on it?
Yeah. It pretty clearly wasn't effective.
We can use the Riot transition over to maybe drawing some comparisons of RP to Runestones and how Runestones are actually different.
So,
should we move on?
What is a Runestone? What is a Runestone? Runestones will be replacing real money purchases for nearly every product in the Hearthstone shop. Some products like pre-purchase bundles, the Hearthstone Tavern Pass, and packs purchasing, the pack purchases that are not the gold ones. You can still buy those with real money. A few other select products like packs or cosmetics crafted in the collection will remain purchasable with only gold. With Runestones, we'll be able to offer additional smaller scale items such as the additional Battlegrounds hero skins offered in the shop with this patch. Runestones will be available in bundles of various sizes, including quantities that correspond to our major products, so you can buy exactly the quantity needed for the product or you can stock up on more for later. No product costs are changing with the conversion, all prices are staying the same, just getting converted to Runestones. Okay. People with children. Do you know what a V-Bucks is? Yes, you probably know what V-Bucks are. This is V-Bucks. People that play League, these are Riot points. People that play Marvel Snap, this is gold. People that play, I don't know.
Arena has gems.
Arena's gems.
Yeah.
However,
Magic Arena, I should say. Yeah.
Saying that everybody else does this doesn't make it okay, because we don't like it in those games either. So this is not us forgiving them. The stated reason that they gave for this is to allow smaller scale items because of credit card fees and percentage-based fees on app stores or whatever, but credit card fees in particular, there is a flat fee involved. So there is nothing in Hearthstone currently that costs less than $3, I think, except for Arena and Duels entries. Those are $1.50. So
no, $2, right? We
$2.
We already did this once today.
$2, right? Yeah. We did that. I mixed up every single time. So
and the other thing is that iOS in particular only allows you to set prices, at least in USD, in increments of $1 or 99 cents. Right. So if you want to make something cost $1.50, you can't, and you can't sell it on iOS for that. So
virtual currencies are inherently consumer unfriendly. This is another disclaimer here. Again, this is not a decision that needs any defense. There is potentially a tiny amount of upside here for consumers that want a la carte skins and are okay with giving Blizzard interest-free loans. That is where there is potential upside. The vast majority of this is net neutral or worse.
Yeah, I have a little bit of monologue prepared here on these kinds of currencies generally, and then we can sort of scale back to show what is different for Runestones versus many of these. So I honestly have been a bit surprised that they held out on making something like Runestones this long, because as described, the benefits to these companies are pretty insane, and pretty much every other digital game, especially mobile game, works this way. So number one, often they offer deals on larger quantities. What Hat was alluding to, if you're incentivized to spend a bunch of money up front by, say, if I buy $100 worth of gems in Magic Arena, then I get some amount of like bonus gems that is higher than if I bought the $20 pack 5 times. The same way you would receive a discount when paying for a year subscription instead of month to month. This is good for the companies because it guarantees that they have your money right now, as opposed to you doing smaller amounts and then maybe stopping. If you do smaller amounts, but still get a bunch of things, that's great for them because you're actually paying more than the person who threw down $100 at once in advance. Now, typically, the prices will also not line up exactly. See Riot Points, where you would get bundles of points that were at certain values, and then you would get something for 975 RP, and it was just like, you're guaranteed to have leftovers. And so there's always some amount of currency that is trapped in the system. This happens even with straight money on an account. If you've ever gotten a gift card for $20 on your whatever account, you're probably unable to ever end up at true zero because there's always going to be like 5 cents or so left over. No one actually prices stuff at exactly $20, $15, whatever. And 5 cents isn't much, but 5 cents per account is often a lot. Psychologically, it's also easier to spend a digital currency once you've gotten it than your actual money. Again, this can be seen by everyone wanting you to get their rewards program or app and pay with that. The most prominent, I would say, is probably Starbucks, which, I myself use. It's easy to justify loading if you tell yourself, I'm going to use it eventually. And then once it's loaded, and then you tell yourself, I don't have to go through it quickly. But then it's also easier to justify spending because I've already paid for it. Maybe you also have had a bad day or something for extra lack of willpower. Obviously, these are all upsides for the companies. There really is not an upside for us. But after looking at the prices that they've set on the bundles for these, I think it's really clear that they're trying to minimize the excess issue, which I think can be a big one. In a lot of ways, the offering bonuses for getting larger quantities at once is a little bit tricky because that tends to give you that leftovers, which makes you incentivized to, buy more of it to make stuff line up. These Runestone bundles do, as they said, line up with purchases we make. The biggest one lines up with the pre-purchase bundle, $79.99. After that, the $49.99, which is the mid-size bundle, and also bundles you can just get with cash. There's a $19.99, a $14.99, which is a common higher tier skin amount, $9.99, which is the base tier skin amount, and then $4.99 is the smallest. And that is where, if they're going to offer anything that is less than $5, they are basically dodging the issue of really low amount credit card transaction fees, which is the main reason to do this. I think for pretty much all of my purchases, not being an engaged BG's player, it's 1-to-1. So it doesn't change anything for me. People have commented that, oh, well, if you're trying to dodge low transaction fees, why is it that it's more worth it to buy a whole bunch of the 500 Runestones package versus the biggest one? Because it's $4.99, and so you save, some number of cents. Look, if you want to do that, if you really want to make that many clicks to save 10 cents, you do you. But that sounds awful to me, and I think for most of us that play this, that number of cents is not make it or break it. And if it is, you probably shouldn't be spending on the game anyway. So it's one of those things that I understand, psychologically feels weird. But the big thing is allowing them to have things that they can sell for an amount of runestones that could be the equivalent of $1.50 or something like that. On that low-end amount, I think primarily of emotes for BGs are probably going to be the low end. And I probably won't engage with that at all. So for most of us who are just standard players, this is maybe an extra click when I want to buy a skin. Because I get it as runestones, and then I get the skin, and then it's done.
Yeah. And it's not being used in the way that it is used in a lot of games which is to obfuscate how much you're actually spending. I every time that I play Magic Arena and I think about getting the season pass then I have to figure out like how much 3,400 gems equates to. And it's like, and that could be different depending on how much I spend. I think it's like $20. I don't even remember. But because it's been a while since I've done that, but that's not being done here. It's 1-to-1. 2,000 runestones is $20, at least in the US. And I mean, obviously currency conversion gets a little bit in the way of that, but it's still going to be relatively analogous. I do think this is this is an area where I think that we would have had this sort of firestorm anyway, but I think it's a little bit intensified because of Diablo Immortal having come out so recently. And Diablo Immortal is like, I mean, kind of on brand. If you want to think about whatever sins you can do with virtual currencies, like Diablo Immortal's doing that, right? And
is successful. It's
making a
money.
ton of money.
It made $100 million in the first 2 months, despite the bad press, despite everything. It is making a crazy amount of money, and it's made by the same company as the most recent major release by the same company. So
and it's got so many different virtual currencies in it that it's impossible to keep track of it, right? They introduce more for their events. It's ridiculous, and and those are generally pretty low return on investment. It is not I believe that the Hearthstone team is trying to do this in the most player friendly way possible, but I don't blame anybody for jumping necessarily to that and saying, well, okay, this is what Blizzard did. They were successful. Now they're going to do this to the rest of the games. I don't believe that that's happening, but I could forgive somebody going straight there, right? Because of that experience. Like, I deleted Diablo Immortal off my phone because it was like, and I love Diablo. Like, I've been playing Diablo games since the first one came out. I had to delete it off my phone because it was just like, I didn't know. I was tempted to spend money. I never did, except for the money I spent to set up the clan for the podcast, which was a a known fixed amount that I knew going in. But like, it just felt like it was constantly asking me to spend money, and then and I wasn't quite sure what I was getting for my money, and it always kind of felt kind of bad, right? I don't feel like they're doing this here, but again, I could see that. I think the other thing is, I was looking at, because TFT, and we're going to have a lot of parallels to TFT in this episode, but TFT,
including with gameplay
tactics,
mechanics, by the way.
Yes, very much so. But TFT, Riot's Auto Battler, it's been out for a few years. They have a separate mobile app for Teamfight Tactics on mobile because they actually don't have the League client on mobile. The Wild Rift is a completely separate game. And they changed from dollars to a virtual currency about 10 months ago. And what they said when they did it is, why are we doing this? Currently, we have to go through a long process of configuration testing and reviews for each individual item we sell. All the store maintenance time could be used doing literally anything else, but most importantly, it could be used working on stuff we really care about, TFT. So
because app stores, they have to like review each purchase, right?
Yeah, and you have to change the store description every time that you add something in the store, and then you have to test that, and that's a reason that things could get rejected. This was not stated as part of the reason to go to Runestones, but I would not be surprised if that was a consideration as well. And if it was, I wish they would have said that, because that we know of all the pain that there is in getting a mobile release out at the same time as the desktop client. So if there is anything that will make that easier on the developers and less error prone, please do it. Like, that alone would be something that is to our benefit, even though it's not something that we're going to see directly, if that is something that makes their lives easier in that way.
Yeah, the messaging around Runestones was so brief and limited and vague that it gave people a lot of opportunity to read into the worst possible things, and then all the clarification came from devs on Twitter who don't work on them or get involved with these decisions. I would really have liked it if they were just a bit more direct and clear about it, even though I doubt it would have made anyone feel better. There is a clear use case for him here. And again, I am not defending Runestones. This is not a net positive at any point. It's a reality, but it's not a positive. Not like, oh, virtual currency is good actually because they're doing it the right way. They're doing it a better way than they could have done. But the thing they said they needed them for and the way they priced it, their words and their actions are aligning. Because if you wanted Runestones to encourage people to spend more, you would do FOMO-based sales, you would give bonus Runestones, you wouldn't allow anything to be purchasable with real money, which like half the stuff in the shop still is, including all of the things that are over $2 that don't line up with the bundle. Anything that doesn't line up with a bundle, that is any major amount of money, you can just buy it with cash. So they said this is to make it so we can sell tiny things. That seems like what they're doing because they didn't add any kind of FOMO sale, advertisement, whatever here. Celestalon in chat said, if we want to give you a deal on spending more upfront and getting more stuff, that's in the products. That's in the pre-order bundles, especially the mega bundle. You get more stuff because you spend more upfront. That's what they do. So they don't have any kind of double dipping here where they try and get you on the currency and also on the product. They're just doing it for the product. Now, could this change? Yes. Does this open the door for future evil if the business team decides they want to follow in the path of Diablo Immortal? Yes. Is it happening right now? Not that we can see. So, trepidation, neutrality, don't trust companies. Devs seem like they're on the level. No lies detected yet. We'll see what the implementation is. I was talking about this on Angry Chicken yesterday. There is an implementation here that I think would actually be somewhat player favorable. You know how you can craft portraits? Gold, 600 gold, I think. If I could craft BG's portraits for 200 or 250, whatever, however many stones, say 250, 2 for a $5 bundle. If I could go in and build my own bundle whenever I wanted, open the Battlegrounds collection, craft them for some small amount of runestones, I would probably spend more overall, but I would never buy a bundle with skins I didn't want again. I would just do pure a la carte, throw $5 at the game every so often, and just go and pick out what I wanted to have and go get it. I think that would be a way that you could spin this as, we want you to be able to buy things at your own pace in whatever configuration you want, but we can't eat the credit card fees, so we're going to ask you to buy $5 up front. However, as of right now, it's just, if you want to buy smaller things, you still have to give them an interest-free loan up front, even if it's in a $5 increment, because for $2 purchases to make sense, you still have to spend $5 and then buy things a couple times.
Yeah, and I've definitely had instances like the Gundam bundle, as you call it, where I liked some of them. I might have gotten the mage one, but it involved a bunch of classes that I was less interested in, so I didn't. And I think there's been multiple instances like that of cosmetic bundles where it's like, well, I want like 1 or 2 of these, and then it's a decision of, do I get the whole thing for those 2, or am I able to just get the specific ones? And so it would be really awesome if they could open that up, as you say.
Yep. And again, this is not defensive runestones. I'm going to say that over and over again because we're going to get taken out of context. But runestones are going to be a net neutral right now for most people. Doesn't mean it'll stay that way forever. Doesn't mean we should trust it. Doesn't mean we need to be happy about it. But overall, I have seen some truly psychotic takes on social media this week, and we are trying to avoid being psychotic and just level set with you all. You don't have to be happy about this, but the chance of it actually impacting things you're doing, somewhat minimal. If you're buying tavern tickets for arena or duels, this is going to matter. If you're buying real money tavern tickets. Because before you would spend $2 at a time. Now you do have to do the $5 bundles at a time. You'll get 2.5 tavern tickets each time. If you buy a small amount of tavern tickets overall, this could very well have an impact. It is a change to your current behavior. So that is something where this could actually come up and be something where there is extra money left over that you can't spend. Tavern tickets are going to be, 200 stones forever, I assume. And so over time, that'll probably even out. But that is a real change to your behavior, to your circumstance. Something to be aware of.
Yeah, or maybe it just changes the way that you approach it, that maybe you're putting that money into different bundles and then using your gold for the tavern tickets instead, because you'll still be able to buy those with gold.
Yep. There is nothing that you could buy with gold that you can no longer buy with gold. Gold purchases aren't changing at all. And you can still, the language in the article was confusing, but you can still double-click the 100 gold icon when you're buying packs for gold and type in a number up to 50. Because it said more than one pack at a time, people thought that they were gating gold by you had to click it every time. That is not the case. You do not have to.
Oh God, no. We'd all have carpal
tunnel
tunnel every 4 months. Yeah, I mean the only exception to that is the BG's pass, and that you will not be able to buy that with gold. And after it sounds like after the season, you won't be able to buy that with straight money either. You'll only be able to buy that with Runestones, because there's an asterisk by it in the graphics, where next to the dollar sign, next to the check, next to the dollar sign, it says you'll be able to do it this time during the transition. After that, you'll have to buy with Runestones.
Well, they don't say after that. They say transition and then don't finish the sentence.
At some point,
yes. Yeah. But I do expect that that'll transition to Runestones. I had a crazy crackpot theory, by the way. This is unsubstantiated and completely crazy in crackpot, but I'm going to say it anyways because I didn't say it on Angry Chicken yesterday, so I got to say it somewhere. There is a rule that if you're on the Apple or Google stores, you cannot have 2 games that use the same currency.
Right.
So the BG stuff is all Runestones. The vast majority of standard stuff is gold or real money, if you want. They introduced a separate mission statement. They introduced a separate mission pass, separate quests, separate separate everything. BG's client spinoff.
For mobile, it might make sense. Like,
I think it would be a bit in the future. And
yeah, not right now. But this is how you would set it up, right?
I guess, although they're letting you use it for stuff in other parts, and then that would go away if they were to extricate BGs from everything else. So that seems like maybe a little more confusion.
Could be just for mobile, right? Like the League client, because the League client on desktop has League and TFT in it, and they broke out TFT separately. True. I mean, granted, they don't have League on mobile; they have Wild Rift. It's a separate game, whatever. But they broke that out into its own thing for mobile. So I could see that maybe to make them to make the mobile updates easier, because I think that, I mean, I don't know for sure, but that sounds like it's the most painful part of the patching process. That would also probably mean, splitting out when they do content updates for BGs versus constructed. Maybe we don't get heroes updated, new heroes when we get, a new standard set. Maybe introducing fewer heroes would be a good thing for the game mode in general for a lot of reasons. But I could see them wanting to find ways to make the mobile update process more humane, I guess I would say. And that would be one way to do it.
Yep. And again, complete crazy wild speculation, and it would take them forever to do. But if I were setting it up, this is what it would look like, where everything is siloed in BGs. It translates out to the core stuff, but the core stuff doesn't translate into BGs at all. So they could easily just schloop them apart into 2 separate clients. On mobile, probably. On desktop, whatever. But I could easily see on mobile. Because, they even have different splash screens. They even have different landing screens. But we'll see.
Different
I don't
collection
know.
Manager, everything is completely separate.
Yep. They probably won't split up a Mercs client. Probably not.
Let them fix coins first before they start splitting it off into their own client.
Let them fix the collection first. I want to be able to build a party without my client crashing. Okay. Short conclusion here. Don't trust Runestones, but they haven't screwed us over yet. And if you're a BG's player, you have to spend more. You don't have to be happy about it. They say they need it for development. We'll see what happens. We happen to be in a place where you all pay us to talk about Hearthstone. Thank you very much for doing that. I'm not planning on buying the BG's pass. If I were a BG's main, I would shrug and grumble and do it and then go back to normal. But I'm not going to purchase it because I don't play enough. And I don't care. But I might not purchase it. Drunk Hat might buy it. So I'll be on my iPad and I'll be messing around and I'll be like, I want 2 more heroes. Boop. Click it. I can see a world where that happens. And there will be people that really don't feel like they can compete in BGs anymore because $15 is in whatever local currency they have, or in $15, whatever, is not an amount of disposable income they have to spare, and it gates the game from them, and I would be upset if I were them. I absolutely would be.
Yeah. And I think, it's easy for me to sort of just be fine about all this because I'm totally standard focused, right? I mean, something I have to tell myself just from pure mental game perspective for standard is, hey, I'm not trying to qualify for anything via ladder. Ultimately, my rank is irrelevant. I play to do cool decks, and it makes me feel good when I can make that number better, but it doesn't matter. But I understand that is like something that I have trained myself on just for my mental well-being, and it's different if you are taking that and you're like, okay, well, I have to do that because otherwise I'm having to pay to do better in my thing. But like, if you're not trying to qualify for lobby legends, I don't know. I guess to me, I just feel like it shouldn't be that big a difference.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, for me, it's going to be a matter of how much I like the cosmetics, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yep.
and the cosmetics that they're including, we haven't talked about those yet. The cosmetics that they're doing,
they're pretty good.
Are really good. I mean, it is a little bit weird, like right after the Star Guardian event for Riot for League ends, that these come out, but I don't care because they're very, very cool. I mean, they're not allowed to call it Sailor Moon themed, but that's pretty much what they are. And like I tweeted out, like, please, for the love of God, let me use the Zarella BG's portraits and constructed somehow, please. Like, because that would be in my rotation easily. But they're all really cool. There's a really great video on Nicolina's YouTube channel with Alicia Cornelia and Jen Stacy talking about like how they're made and how like the art process goes and getting the concept art and everything. These skins are something else. And I'm looking forward to what the legendary ones, because they're doing like legendary hero portraits that are going to be above and beyond what we've seen before. But even just like the art for the skins themselves, like I'm probably gonna crack and buy the BG's here pass, assuming that I'm playing enough BGs to get through it, because like that would be the only thing that would stop me, because these skins are really, really good.
I'm gonna have a problem because Drunk Hat freaking loves Sailor Moon. He's in. And the bartender, Tuxedo Bob, he is wearing a tuxedo, but I wonder if this is a Tuxedo Mask reference. I don't know. There's something going on here. This is rad. This is pretty cool. And it's worth noting the rewards track, the free side has a bunch of free stuff. Guardian Zyrella, Emote, Sky Sailor, Gale Wing, Tamsin Shadow Mage. There's a Strike on there, at least one. Rakara, Arcane Warrior. There's two. Oh, it's the same Strike, but two different tiers to it. Sorceress Greymane, Enchanting Edwin. Those are free. There is also apparently a yawning emote that Jay Correct said that I immediately want to own right now so I can yawn at people, because that seems... I'm going to alternate that with Watfin drinking tea, just the most laid-back possible experience, maybe matched up with, like, a hammock hero from the beach bundle. And then the paid season pass is just jam-packed with stuff. There's a legendary Strike now, and legendary hero skins. The legendary hero skins are animated and have voice lines. The legendary Strike have 4 levels, not 2. They have small damage, big damage, but then they have fatality and fatality win the lobby. If you knock someone out, it's a different animation. And if you knock someone out and win the lobby, it's a 4th animation. Pretty cool stuff. So, I don't know. Jen and Alicia's interview was really, really fun. They pulled back on cosmetics a lot in the last 6 weeks. There are fewer of them on the Tavern Pass, the core Tavern Pass. You can tell why. They were loading this up. If you like cosmetics, this is something of a good deal, but I'm not going to say that as any attempt to to stem the bleeding from. Also, if you want hero choices, you have to pay for it. That's nice, but it's clearly not about the cosmetics, because if it was about the cosmetics, they would have kept selling cosmetics. But
right.
I will be tempted by this.
Yeah, I mean, Nicolina said in that video, like, why would I use any other strike than this one? And she's not wrong. Like, it's very cool. It's got like the whole like gems circling around into like a big like magic beam that's like takes up like half the width of the screen. Like, it's very, very cool.
I will say though, the Animo one was also really, really cool. One that they released with Nathria. So there's a lot of cool options. And I'm probably not going to get this because I don't play BGs really, but the cosmetics are so cool that I almost want to just to see them. Right, I'll have to jump in on Slissa's stream just to see some of these, to live vicariously through her and Sway and whoever else. But I think it is really nice to have all of these amazing cosmetics on the same track as a thing that people feel obligated to buy for competitive reasons anyway. Because then you are getting really good value in that sense. Again, you don't have to feel good about it, but maybe it softens the blow a bit. And yeah, I wish we could have some of this theming for standard stuff.
I really want
so
the
cool.
skin. Like,
I always loved in League the arcade skins or the Star Guardian ones. I had the Lux crazy expensive skin, the Elementalist Lux. Like, there are certain things that go over the top. The one thing that did make me scared, and I don't think this is happening, but for a moment I had pause, was seeing rarities assigned to different skins. I was like, no, we're not getting loot boxes, are we? Because that is a thing that I truly fear and don't want to have to deal with. Of course, it's in Mercenaries, but I hope it stays in Mercenaries.
Yeah, but that's a common way of, like, Heroes of the Storm did that, League does that, for even Runeterra does that for some of their card skins too. Like, generally, like, Rare is just like the art, and Epic is the art with maybe a voice line or an animation, and then Legendary is like the full on like experience. So like, it's kind of telling you what to expect when you're buying, and usually they're priced accordingly, usually if they're bought in the store.
They went hard. I remember the first one I got was Pulsefire Ezreal. People were like, you bought a $20 skin? And so I always thought of things in that difference. I guess I didn't know rarities. It was like, this is a 975 skin or a 1350 or an 1800. Like, it was always in the increments of RP. I think if I had to make a suggestion, I prefer the skins with animated hero powers, at least for standard. But it could be cool to just have animated hero powers that you can equip or not equip. Maybe down the line, I don't know. Just food for thought.
Maybe. So, we like that. There's also, by the way, sometimes patches come with gameplay updates. And this one is no exception. So, 82 minutes wrapping up the econ discussion. Now we get to talk about the game. Okay, so, listeners, we're going to be excited about the game. We like the skins. We like the stuff. We have spent quite a bit of time talking about the economics. We're now going to go back talking about the game. Please don't view this as an excuse of like, oh, they're excusing the behavior. No, we just like, we like Hearthstone. So we're going to talk about Hearthstone now. And feel free to join our Discord and talk more about econ stuff if you want to. We've been processing it, but honestly, I think at this point there's not too much more to say. You're going to all deal with it in your way. We're going to deal with it in ours. We're going to see what the impact is like on Tuesday. I imagine there will be quite a few players that wanted to compete and didn't or couldn't pay and will probably feel priced out now, and that sucks. There will also be plenty of people that want to keep doing what they're doing and will spend the $15 and will grumble about it and then keep playing. That'll happen. We're going to see how that goes, but we're here to talk about the game, so we're going to talk about the game, and let's finish up the Battlegrounds conversation by talking about quests. Now, again, this is a labored word that is honestly used way too many ways and places and whatever. However, the implementation here in BGs, which is probably why they named them weekly missions on the BGs track, because you're going to get a mission to complete quests, and it's just going to be a big old mess talking about it. That's going to happen. But quests are a new gameplay mechanic. Okay, hold on. I'm marking this down. Jay Correct, can you type in chat how fun this was? Because these things seem amazing. Okay, so quest reward. Quests. It's not quite a buddy. It's not quite a Dark Moon prize. It's right in the middle. So, on turn 4, you will get a pop-up. There are 13 quests, I believe 24 rewards. They are dynamically assigned per player per game.
And they're not tied to each other.
They're
right?
not.
So they're
randomly combined.
The quests are one pool, the rewards are a second pool.
That was something that I didn't understand at first. I was like, these conditions have nothing to do with the thing you get. What's going on? Like, where does it show which becomes what? And then I realized they're disconnected.
Well, I was just confused why they were revealing the quests separately from the rewards.
Yep.
that was kind of where I kind of figured it out.
Because quests and standard means the same thing happens every time. That's not what's happening here. It is kind of like boons and mercenaries in a way, that halfway through a map, you kind of get a random thing that enhances your party after you do something. So, dynamic tasks, and the rewards are fixed. There are 24 rewards. They don't scale. But the quest conditions change based on how good your hero is and how good the reward is. So there can be something like, have a friendly taunt minion attacked X times. If it's an easy version of the quest, it might say 6 or 8. If it's a harder version of the quest, because the reward is better, it might say 12. So the number that you see dynamically changes based on how good your hero is and how good the reward is. So, for example, the screenshot they have in the article, there's a quest to play 4 Naga or demons. The reward permanently is your minions have +5 attack. All minions for the rest of the game. There's quest summon 20 minions. The reward, Evil Twin, start of combat summon a copy of your highest health minion. Then there's another hidden body as the reward. The quest is have a friendly taunt minion attacked 12 times. The reward is discover a minion of your tavern tier can be earned endlessly. So every 12 times that your taunt minions are attacked, you get to discover a minion. Easy, medium, hard. My guess would be that there is an easy, medium, hard displayed to every player based on the rewards. Don't know that for sure. I'm making that up, but that is my guess. Just extrapolating.
Kind of like a Gale Wing.
Kinda. Yeah. So the quest conditions are dynamically scaled, and the quest reward pairs are dynamically generated. The problem that many people had with buddies, the hero that I play always feels the same, and it's bewildering keeping track of everybody else's buddies. And I start doing the same thing on turn 1 every single game. This doesn't start till turn 4. It's not tied to your hero, and it's not the same each game. You all realize what they did, right? They put a roguelike in Battlegrounds. That's what this is. These are Hades boons.
Oh, yeah, that's true. That's very
okay.
true.
They put a roguelike in my auto battler.
I mean, I looked at it and I thought they put TFT augments in Battlegrounds, but I could see yeah.
You're the weird one who plays TFT.
So okay, Steve, I don't play TFT. Can you explain how it works there?
So this is something that they put in like 2 sets ago, and it was so popular. So one thing is that it was so popular that it was every set has like a mechanic similar to Battlegrounds. It was so popular that they made it a permanent part of the game. And they kept it around for the following set, even though they were introducing other set mechanics. So in TFT, you get 3 of them, and they're the first one is, it used to be after before the 4th round, and now it's before the 5th round. And then you get another 2. You just get them immediately. There's no precondition for them. But you get 3 of them distributed throughout the game, and everybody gets the same level of power. But there's like a whole bunch of different ones. Some of them give you an extra unit that counts towards your tribe. Some of them are just like, here's 30 gold. I had one today. In TFT, you spend gold on experience to level up. You don't do it all at once, but you can spend X amount of gold to get XP, and then once you buy enough XP than you level up. I had one today where every time that you roll, you also get the equivalent amount of XP that you would have spent gold on by rolling. So you just roll and then you get to. I did that once. I got like a level 3 4-star and just like wiped out the entire lobby. One of the times that I got that. So it's generally late enough that you have some form of direction, which it sounds like this will be as well. Like you have some form of direction that you can tell, like, should I go for this or not? And they got better as they went along of tailoring it to, to what your board was. Like they used to offer you like, oh, here's an extra one of this tribe that you don't have any of, right? And so they got better at like looking at what your board was and what you had on your bench and kind of figuring that out. But like the net effect is that it made each game different, and it opened up comps in some games that never would have been possible otherwise, because it just gives you something else to shoot for. And like sometimes when you swing for the fences and you hit, you get to do this like Super Saiyan comp, and like they have like, the normal number of units that you can have towards some of the the tribe bonuses, but they always have these stretch goals, right? So you can actually hit the stretch goal and you're just like wiping everybody out. And so, but you have to kind of plan for that, and you have to adjust your game plan accordingly, which means you're not doing the same thing every game. This is why I've kind of fallen off Battlegrounds, certainly since Buddies, but even afterwards. Like I'm tired of Leaper comps, right? Like there's Leaper comps, there's there's grease spots. Like I know what it's going to look like, and then ultimately when I watch Lobby Legends, I figured out that at the end of the day, it's just like half a comp and tech cards, right? And that's just kind of how all the games end. This has the opportunity, if it's done right, and it sounds from what Jay Carrick is doing in the saying from having played it in the preview event today, it sounds like it's there. Is it gives you a way to have variety and gives you a chance on the fly to figure out how to play the game differently, which was the opposite of Buddies, right? Because Buddies made everything one-dimensional. Like the Buddies,
it was only different for the first week, right?
Right, and then everybody figured out how everyone's going to play, and we're saving up, we're rolling on one until we find Revolve Chroma Wing with Vol'jin until like turn 8 because we need it in order to win, right? And this is going to take a hero, but then it's like, well, if I play this differently, I could get this big reward and maybe get to this different end game. That's really cool. And you're not necessarily going to have the same experience every time, even with the same hero. And it's going to be like the combinations of hero and quest and reward will be different enough that it's not going to be like a prescribed thing that you can like solve every time. And that's really, really cool.
Yeah.
And some of these look so insane to play with. I saw one that was you only need 2 of something to get a golden.
Yep.
Which
Pilfered lamps. Yeah.
Busted, like crazy busted. And there are going to be certain combinations where like that's clearly good, but if you get that on Varden, it's just filthy because Varden
it creates pairs and then you're a pair gamer.
Every
every tavern has a golden. Yeah, there's a lot of really cool stuff here. Some of the quest conditions themselves also, there are 13 quests. The conditions are wacky. Now, Jay Karek is saying that you cannot see your opponent's quest until you're in combat. You can only see the reward they're working towards. I would like for that to be changed if it's possible. But some of these rewards, or some of these quest conditions, tie or lose 3 combats. Scales up or down. So that means I'm power leveling. I would like to see the opponents, if they're power leveling and I see that they're doing this, I'm going to power level too. That makes the lobby feel different. Order your minions from lowest to highest attack for 4 combats. That is very funny and also incredibly suboptimal. But also I want to know if my opponent's going to do that so I can reorder differently as well. There are some banned combinations. Like I don't believe you can get Pilfered Lamps with Dawn Grasp because that would be busted. They would be fun, but yes, they probably played with that and like, hey, we probably shouldn't do this.
And if it's not banned now, it will be by the time the first balance patch comes around, I'm sure.
My understanding is that it was banned. We found out about that either from yesterday's Hearthstone Battlegrounds podcast with the dev interview or from today's preview stream. But Either way, there are also some combinations that apparently certain minion combinations you can or cannot get. I don't know exactly how it works, but it seems like that they do some clever dynamic reordering and reallocating here. Also, the quest rewards, or the quest conditions and the rewards, anything that you see with an integer, with a number that's a digit, that's possible for them to change server side. It's possible for them to balance server side. So if it involves an asset change, a word that has to change, tavern tier changes, whatever, they can't do that. But there is anything with an integer, which is a quest condition or a quest reward many times, they can balance that server side. I do think it will be possible for them to adjust these on the fly without needing a client download. That seems like a big deal. Seems like something that's pretty important here. I've been told.
Yeah, and I guess the other thing is, right, like we talked kind of pessimistically about hero balance, right? When you have something like this, right, you have another way in addition to the armor tiers to bring the lower power heroes up to the power level of the rest of the lobby, right? So you can give better rewards for something that's a bad hero and kind of bring that balance up without actually having to change the hero. I don't envy the people who have the task of trying to do that for 83 or however many heroes we have now, but that is another tool in their toolbox to try to make the heroes a little bit more balanced. Obviously that's the kind of thing we haven't seen that happen up until now. We'll believe it when we see it, but it's possible.
We have a nitty-gritty thread from Mitchell Lowen, who tweeted a whole bunch of specifics about how this stuff works gameplay-wise. We'll put it in the show notes. I pasted it in the Twitch chat. There's a whole bunch of stuff they changed. Also, Wondrous Wisdom Ball, which I love, is Khadgar's floating head, occasionally provides helpful refreshes. It is the same one from the Dalaran heist, where he would just pop up and do crazy stuff that was sometimes bad for you. The outcomes here for Wondrous Wisdom Ball, there are 10 different ways that it can refresh the tavern. I don't know what those are going to look like. I imagine like some of them are like Hamul Rune Totem refresh for the same tribe as yours. I'm just guessing. But there are a bunch of them. This looks very funny. There's also some specific notes that were covered in patch notes, but something that's very important to me, because I'm bad, is that all heroes can exceed 10 gold during your turn now. You can't go over 10 gold to start. But the what captain is it? Crag can go over 10 gold with the button. And if you start your turn at 10 gold and you absentmindedly sell a minion because you're bad or me, you have 11 gold now. It doesn't just go away.
That's really nice.
Player friendly.
Yeah. They also, one of the quest rewards involves spinning the wheel of Yogg-Saron, and they've rebalanced the wheel of Yogg-Saron. I guess that was one of the prizes. So they've changed the spots on the wheel of Yogg-Saron as well. So that'll be fun. I mean, that's just kind of the wake up and choose violence reward. That I would personally enjoy, because I'm just that kind of a broken human, but yeah. Oh, and Celestlon saying in chat, they explicitly say that quests are easier for lower tier heroes based on armor tier. So that is something that it is actually going to be an explicit goal based on the armor tier. So that's something that, if you get something you get a couple of suboptimal choices, maybe you try your luck at one of the quote unquote bad heroes, and maybe you just get a good quest and it compensates.
So, and we have a couple of these Wisdom Ball outcomes. There's a Hamul refresh. There's a refresh with a copy of your current board. There's a refresh except all the shop minions get +5/+5. There's a refresh with a shop of all one minion. Every copy is the same minion. Refresh with a golden minion in the shop. I'm going to take this. It's probably bad, but I'm going to do it. And this sounds goofy and wonderful.
You know what, though? The one with all one minion sounds like the why not bucket in duels. And I'm just imagining what that one minion's going to be, and it's probably going to be like Silverback Patriarch or something. But
Yep. Also, there's the Evil Twin quest reward, the one that summons a copy of your highest health minion. It puts a mustache on the evil one. There's a little mustache, an evil mustache. It's fantastic. So, I don't know. Oh, and it won't be Silverback Patriarch because it's getting removed, by the way.
Oh, okay, even better. So see, I'm already doing better.
Per the thread, it was removed because it had too good stats for the cost, and Mitchell is devastated. Yes. So we should look at the patch notes because they removed a whole bunch of stuff. The patch notes, there's so much in these patch notes. There's a crazy amount of stuff. They list every quest, every reward, general updates. They are extending the turn time on turn 4 when you're going to get your quest a little bit temporarily because of the quest mechanic. You can exceed 10 gold. BG's weekly quest moved into the mission chain. There is a legendary quest that'll award new Battlegrounds cosmetics. 2 new heroes, Murloc Holmes. 0 gold, look at 2 minions, get switch one your next opponent had last combat for a coin, kind of a mini bear-off. And then Sire Denathrius. At the start of the game, you choose one of 2 quests. This stacks with the turn 4 quest. You get a quest on turn 1, and also a quest on turn 4. You can double quest. I'm picking him when I see him. That's what's happening.
Yeah.
Yes. There are a crazy amount of hero updates, including a bunch of reworks, a bunch of updates. We're not going into them all. There is a redesign to demons where they are very snack-focused. They're very snacky.
They look great.
Because, like the Urzul horror or Felbat effect of just snacking a minion in the tavern, that's now Demon's core mechanic, where the 1-star will eat a random minion. The 2-star Mind Muck makes a different demon eat a random minion. It makes something else hungry. It doesn't eat itself, so you can buy it and sell it. There's, piggybacking is in. A lot of changes too. There's just so many changes. We're not going to go minion by minion. However, they brought back Toxfin because they removed SI Sephin. Kooky Chemist is gone. That experiment is over. Thank goodness. Steward of Time, Bublet, Silverback Patriarch Rip, Icky Imp, Nathrazim, Overseer, Soul Devourer, Briny Bootlegger, Shifter, Xeris, Cobalt, Scalebane, Witchwing, Nest Matron, and Mithrax are all gone. They nerfed Trickster, they buffed Imprisoner to Tier 1, and Draken Enforcer is back to Tier 4. There is one minion here that I do like.
Is it the Tortola and Blue Shell? Because that's
it sure is. Yes. Yeah. It's a Tier 5 minion. It's a blue shell. If you lost your last combat, this minion sells for 5 gold. So if you're not in first, it gives you a benefit like Mario Kart. It's very funny.
Oh, man.
So, yeah, I like that. Just a whole bunch of cool stuff here. We're going to play some BGs. There was, T-Master Theotar is in here, a brand new minion. 6-star, 6/6. After you play a minion with no minion type, give 3 friendly minions of different types a +2/+2.
That just makes my head hurt.
So you cycle like Manta Queens.
Just from thinking about managing the board space.
You cycle Manta Queens. It's just a weird Caligos, but you're Menagerie Caligos.
Yeah. Well, and it's Tea Master because the other Menagerie things are the teacup and the teapot, which have no minion type.
Okay. Oh yeah, he's holding the teacup in his hand. Actually,
yeah,
it's got a face on it.
Yeah. You get a teacup, and it
didn't
gives
get
you
that.
A few stats to your Menagerie minions, and now you get more stats because it is also no minion type.
I like that. That's cute.
I'm upset. Why is this not Teotar? I'm personally upset now.
Because now we have an episode title.
Okay. I'll allow it.
They gotta have good nicknames, right?
But Mug
no
isn't
one ever
in.
actually calls them by their regular name.
Yeah. Mug is not in, by the way. Mug is out.
Oh, Mug's out? Okay.
Yeah, they removed that a little while ago. There's also a bunch of Mercs updates. Some buffs. There's a Wild Heroic Brawliseum coming on September 14th. Heroic, the $10 one, or 10,000 runestones, whatever. 1,000 runestones. Yeah. Updated leaderboards. Leaderboards for Standard, Wild, Classic, Battlegrounds, and Mercenaries will now have live updates, not 5-minute refreshes. They will have selectable season numbers, and there's no longer a limit to how many people can be shown in the leaderboard, so you can look up how you did no matter what rank you're at. For Standard, Wild, and Classic, this means that all Legend rank players will be listed. To quote the patch notes, you're all leaderboard finishers in our book. That's just nice. That's nice.
And I mean, it's nice to know where you actually finished, right? Because like you don't, unless you're staying up to the server reset, you kind of know like around where you finished, but you don't actually know. So just knowing exactly where you finished is nice, and being able to look it up.
In-game reporting is also going live on Tuesday when the patch comes out.
Hooray.
And bug fixes and game improvements. Improved in-game messaging capabilities. I don't know what that means, but it's happening. Fixed a bug where Relic of Dimensions did not draw from the top of your deck. We talked about this. It was weird. They fixed it. Fixed a bug where Demolition Renovator did not function on mobile. I don't know what was going on here or who found this out, but that is very funny.
Well, I mean, obviously, because you're not at a location, you're mobile.
Yeah.
Why should it work?
I hate that what you said makes sense. Fixed a bug where front lines did not trigger if either player's board was full. I thought that was already the case, but I guess not. Party Crasher no longer eats rush minion attacks. You can rush with it too. They fixed a bug with Sinful Brand that I'm sure someone will care about. Sunken Scavenger, no longer an imp. Imprisoned Scrap Imp is an imp. Suspicious Usher no longer maintains damage to any copied minions. Dispose of the evidence showed the shuffled card in the history tile. To quote the patch notes, you can now dispose the evidence without exposing the evidence. Nice job, whoever wrote these. Sinstone Graveyard now summons immediately to its right. There apparently has been an infused sound effect and location entry sounds that have all been added back in. I thought it was intended, but I guess not. Location visual effects are now seen by opponents, in addition to when you use them. Cloak of Shadows got a text box update to clarify for whatever reason. Spammy Arcanist now counts Bubbler dying to continue spamming. What a niche scenario, I guess, for Arena. Couple achievement changes. Couple visual bugs on hero skin animations like Reveler Kael'thas and Venthyr Liadrin. Miscellaneous other bug fixes and game improvements.
And the thing with front lines is that the way that it's worded is it says summon a minion, then repeat until either side of a player's battlefield is full. So you should get at least one minion with front lines if your opponent's battlefield is full. And it sounds like it wasn't doing that. It was just not doing anything.
So, that's it for patch notes. Now, you might have said, oh, weren't they supposed to revert Edwin? We made it to Standard Talk. Time to Standard Talk, 1 hour, 47 minutes. Okay. So.
Wait. Hang on.
Did I miss something?
Heroic Wild Brawl Scene.
Yeah, we mentioned it.
We did? Gosh, you go so fast.
It was very fast.
Well,
it was very fast, just like getting Neptulon out in Big Priest. It was very fast.
Okay. Well, ignore me, but I'm excited.
I'm not going to ignore you. You're a host on the show. You can say what you want to say. I'm glad you're excited. I'm not going to play this. Got to do Heroic Brawl of Seams, but I'm glad it's there. So there was discussion last week about, hey, is it possible for them to revert Edwin this patch? Because normally they don't do card changes when they do massive content updates. Those are separate windows. Normally. This could have been an extreme scenario. Last week it sure looked like Edwin was the thing that was the problem. Looking at Standard this week is a Druid Mage format. If you revert Edwin, you just kill Rogue. And I'm not saying that I want the play pattern to stay the same, but there are not a lot of highly competitive viable strategies in Standard right now. Druid, Mage, some Rogue stuff, some Priest stuff. It's kind of it. And you would not be able to change more cards. It would only be a single reversion because this is not a balance patch. They might have been able to sneak in a single reversion in a massive patch if production takes on extra work. for a single change, would that change make the meta better? Probably not. People would ask why they didn't do more. It wouldn't change Druid or Mage, which are more popular anyways and are better performers at most ranks of ladder. It probably is just another way for people to say, lol, Blizzard doesn't understand how to balance their own game. The last balance patch didn't land where we wanted it to. However, after seeing where Standard has gone in the past week and a half-ish, 2 weeks, I think that it's not the balance patch at all. Like, the Edwin buff was bad. Shouldn't have done that. I think that's pretty clear. But the format just evolved and refined Druid and Mage, which got no real change. I mean, I'm glad Celestial's not around because, oh boy, that would be unbearable.
Oh, wait, well, I lost to it today.
Oh.
Yeah, I sure did.
I crushed someone because they played
Because they can just brand an Athreus for 2 mana, and then you just die. Yep.
That is pretty good for 2 mana.
Yep.
So, I'm sorry about that. I didn't mean to bring that up. But either way, Druid and Mage just got refined. This patch wasn't... It was just too early. It was the window they had, but it was just too early. If they had another week to see the format refined, they would have been able to make more targeted nerfs. But they have this patch window specifically because of Deck of Lunacy. That is what this patch window is for. Because of Deck of Lunacy. Because of things that are broken out the gate that you need to fix right away. They had some things they needed to nudge. They had some classes they needed to help. I don't think that an unnerfed Snowfall Guardian would have changed Shaman to the point now where we're like, this is a fun play pattern and Druid and Mage aren't as busted. I don't think so. Shaman's still okay. It's not really great. There's not really a great reason to play it right now. But I don't think that the balance patch would change things. Just it didn't change the things that ended up being the right things. And the buffs, like, I had a pretty good win rate within Rage Warrior in top 1K, but like it's obviously still not a complete deck and it doesn't line up super well with the format's doing it unless you're playing a lot of Paladin. You can. It's better. It's not good enough, but it's way better. But they just didn't have the time to really do the right thing. I don't know.
And I mean, like, they took a risk on Edwin with incomplete information, right? I think everyone listening to this podcast has been in that situation in game, right? They took a risk based on the information that they had. It looked like Rogue needed help. It turned out that it was just something that Lambie Series was keeping in his back pocket, right? So that happens, right? Like but you know, sometimes you need to take a risk, and if it pans out, you look like a genius, and if it doesn't, then people are mad. People are going to be mad no matter what, so you may as well take the risk. But at the end of the day, like it did change like some of the decks that were viable. Like Quest Priest it was sort of a thing before it became more of a thing because it dumpsters Rogue. And it took Warlock down a little bit more than maybe just the nerf to Vile Library would have on its own, because things were targeting Rogue and hitting Warlock with splash damage. But like they did what they thought was right at the time. And I think that I'm glad that they're willing to take risks. This one didn't pan out, but I don't think that means that they were necessarily incorrect to do it. Is Edwin the card I would have wanted to touch? I mean, I naturally am going to recoil at Rogue getting more powerful at all ever. So no, but you know, it didn't seem, if the Masters Tour hadn't immediately happened and Lambie Rogue wasn't a thing, it probably would have just been fine. And it would have taken like a week for people to figure out what to do with Rogue. And then by that point, we're getting close to the next balance patch.
And I have I understand, somewhat controversial theory here, which is that because we've been accustomed to a faster rate of change, there is a tendency to say, this didn't hit right. I'm not enjoying things as much. I'm going to tune out a bit until new balance patch, or I'm going to be grumpy until new balance patch. And so there's less of an inclination to be like coming up with new decks with what we've got, if you expect that things are going to change soon, because then you've just got to start all over again. I mean, people who are dedicated to particular classes have definitely still been trying, and like it hasn't quite been landing, right? I'll see if this paladin I've been working on can get anywhere. But I feel like we've had stuff where it's just I don't know. There's not that drive as much to like wait for the deck builders to build decks. The drive is instead like wait for balance changes because we expect them to be soon.
It's the vibe of this patch in particular that has really been tough for me to personally experience is the balance patch made things worse. The balance patch made things worse. This meta is too narrow. Why bother? The why bother gets me, because you can do other stuff. You won't win as much as if you do the top things. You won't, but this format doesn't feel bad enough that I can't have fun in it. It might be shorter play sessions. I might be less happy about seeing certain things. There's going to be a lot of guffs and a lot of blizzards in my future. Like, I understand that's how this is going to go. Is it possible to still do your own thing? I think so. If you're top 1,000 legend and you want to climb, then no. And you probably can't be on the BG's leaderboard without buying 4 heroes either. But if you're not laser focused on the purely competitive aspect, there's still opportunity to experiment. And there's still different things you can do. It's not my favorite standard format in history. There are play patterns I want to change. But I think it is still worth trying. It's still a new expansion. And with how positive people were in the first 2 weeks and how negative they got immediately after the patch just because the patch didn't land the way they wanted it to, I'm kind of surprised because if they had patched nothing, Mage and Druid would still be really powerful. Really, really powerful. Just the other experiments would be worse. I think this was, outside of the Edwin change, I think this was largely an improvement, just not a change or a shift to the tune that people wanted. And it's understandable to be frustrated with that. But it's still possible to have fun games, and the decks that were worse got closer to being real than they were before by a large margin. They're still not there, but they're a lot closer.
And it's also worth saying, right? Like, that's not necessarily a universal experience, right? I've liked this meta a lot because Priest is good, right? So, like, the deck that I want to play, I understand. Again, as I say often, I am a broken human. I do not like the same thing that a lot of people like. But for me, this has been, like a goth in a rainstorm, right? Like, this has been really good for me because
That's so easy to visualize. Oh man, we have to make an emote with you having like bangs over your glasses.
Oh God, my daughters would love it.
It took me a moment to process because I'm like, what are you talking about? That just means your makeup is gonna run. What?
Yeah, exactly.
It'll look like Donnie Darko. It'll be so epic.
Yeah. But it's, but I mean, like, I'm really having a good time in this meta because the deck that the style of deck that I like to play and the class that I like to play is very good, right? That is obviously not going to be the case for everybody. There's fun to find if you click with one of those decks, right? But there aren't that many of those decks to click with, and if you don't click with any of them, then you're left feeling like you're on the outside.
Yeah, and I have never been someone that can personally relate to class maining because I am the exact opposite of class maining. But there are a lot of people that do it. And if you were playing one of the classes that received a whole big pile of buffs, then you may be happier, but you're probably not happy. I think the one that probably got the closest is Warrior, actually. Like, Enrage Warrior feels competitive adjacent. I don't know what Paladin players are doing right now.
Demon Hunter got significantly better, not necessarily playable, but it got close.
Close, yeah. But I think it still feels like it's missing something major, whereas there are Warrior games I play where I'm like, wow, this feels great. And there are other Warrior games where it's like, oh, I guess I drew the wrong half of the deck. Demon Hunter games, you have to have a very specific draw and dodge certain matchups to really feel like you're doing something. Like, when I hit the perfect relic curve against a mage, then I can kind of get there. But there are a lot of times where I hit the perfect relic curve against Druid, and it just does not matter even a little bit.
Yeah, and I would say some of the feels bad, I think, also comes from a place of the games that you lose can feel very much out of your power.
Yeah.
And there's just certain things that are hyper polarized like the Quest Priest into Rogue. To some extent, I would imagine Quest Priest into aggro Druid, right? Like you said, you just clean the scene and boom, GG.
Yeah, and the flip side of that is ramp Druid into Quest Priest, because if you don't steal the Nathrius, you just lose.
Right.
Every time.
And similarly, other aspiring aggressive decks into the Priest. Like there's just a lot of things where it's like a thing happens and you're done. And for me, trying out Paladin, that's kind of Mage, right? If they play Magister Dawngrasp, I concede. And I had to explain on stream, I'm like, I'm not rage quitting. I am saving time because unless I'm going to unless my hand is such that I can maybe win in the next 2 turns before the hero power gets sort of snowballed, I can't beat it as a sort of somewhere between mid-range and control paladin because I don't pressure that quickly. They're too good at removing the board. So I think it can be good for your mental game to recognize those inflection points where like you're aggro to it, you just got clean the scene. Okay, we're done here. And I think people don't necessarily concede soon enough in certain situations. But it is unfortunate that there are so many situations that I think are realistically like that presently, where it's a certain thing happens and you're just like, all right, yeah, next game.
I mean, there's a reason that one of my emotes is "Are we done here?" Because there are a lot of games where, and DCU in chat just put it into chat, but where there are a lot of games where I just sit on my fist waiting for them to concede because I did something that clearly ended the game, but we still have a few turns to go before they admit that to themselves. But I mean, I feel the same way with Mage and Varden. Like, it's because if they play it on turn 7, like I have minimum 3 to 4 turns before I have any sort of a win condition, and that's if everything goes absolutely perfectly. And that's a lot of face damage, especially if they're running frozen touches. Then it's too hard to deal with that much damage from hand.
I've been doing this since
entirely built around frozen touches.
Yep. I've been doing this since Barons, where I've talked about this before. When I was playing Barons or against Priest, if it was turn 10 and I couldn't kill them with the Wicked Stabs, then I just dipped, because them being at a low life total and the game being over had no correlation whatsoever. There's no overlap between those two things when you're against a Priest or at any burst life gain or armor gain, whatever. Just when you get to that point, if there is no clear path to the end game, if they got a handful of cards and they're at a medium life total and they can't kill them with Wicked Stabs right now, either I let myself get more mad or I don't. So I'm going to pick don't and save some time. It's the same sort of thing where if I'm against a Renathal mage and it's turn 10 and they've frozen me 5 turns in a row and they're at like 34, what am I going to do? What am I going to do that game to deal 34 damage? So...
But the flip side of that, because this comes up in Discord a lot, is that doesn't mean you auto concede when you see the class.
Yes.
Because first of all, it could be rogue. And second of all, because you're playing against an unfavored matchup doesn't mean it's unwinnable. There are certain points in that matchup where it is unwinnable, and then it does make sense to concede to save time. But just because you're matched up, like if I'm matched up against a druid as a quest priest, I could still steal the Denathrius. That's still a possibility. If we get to a certain point and I haven't done that, then it's probably a better use of my time to just get out and go on to the next one. But that's not on turn 2. That's not on turn 1. That's several turns into the game.
I did a co-op today where our last game, we were quest priest and we beat a quest hunter without Mutinous or Theatar. We just got him. We just got there. We had to Light Shower Elemental and then Light It Burns our own Light Shower Elemental on curve to activate Xyrella Heal on turn 10. And then we restored.
My heart's so happy.
You would have liked that game. It was a good game. And we got there, top deck the Shard, played around the Ice Trap, survived. You can do that. If you get highly tilted by playing at a certain game, if you want to turn 0 concede, you could. Again, it could be rogue. But also, I would strongly suggest, if you care about winning that much, learn how to win, not to play. And you can't practice a bad matchup if you never play it out. when you start to get tilted and when it seems like the game is over, if you can't identify a way that you win the game, then leave. But yeah, turn 0 concedes are a sign of an unhealthy mindset, unhealthy relationship with the game that you really want to avoid doing, because you're making yourself unlucky because you're not letting yourself win. It's a guaranteed loss you concede on 0.
Yeah, and being able to win in an unfavored spot is a skill, and you don't acquire a skill without practicing it. So even if you're losing the game, it's worth looking at that game and saying, okay, was there a way? Was there something I could have done differently in order to win this? And then maybe you do win the next one. But if you never try, then you miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
Yeah. And there's a couple of mages right now as well. Like I feel like there's a couple of a few different kinds of decks, right? There's the 2 different druids. There's Big Spell Mage, and there's the Spooky Mage. I've been seeing more Big Spell Mage recently. But like,
yeah, that's probably the Grandmaster's effect.
Yeah, from my position, it's like, well, I have a better shot against Big Spell Mage with the deck I was playing, and then, but yeah, I can beat one Big Spell Mage that doesn't find the hero and beat and lose to another one that does, right? But you just have to know those points.
Did we make it? Are we through?
Well, we didn't talk about tournaments, but we could also just not.
It's there was some tournamenting.
Yeah.
It was a tournament.
Grandmaster's last call playoffs is this weekend. Watch it. It should be fun. It's best of 7 conquest. Clear your calendar. Go to the bathroom first, because these matches are going to take a while, but it should be fun. We haven't seen best of 7 conquest since like 2016,
since Pavel's Worlds.
Yeah, so
yeah,
that'll be fun to watch. But I also good luck to them finding 5 viable decks for conquest. So
I'm actually curious where they end up going. I think you could maybe cope hard enough to justify bringing a warrior deck, maybe, or
it probably just ends up, the 5th deck probably just ends up being Hunter.
You could also do, if you want to play in the same co-op session before, we faced what seemed to be an anti-Quest Priest Paladin, Theatar, Mutinous, and just endless crap. Kazakhstan too. If you want to beat Quest Priest, you just load up your Paladin deck with stuff, and then what do? We got Brand Theatar. They took the Zyrella, and then we left. Game was over. So I don't know. I'm curious. But I think that's going to do it for our show this week. Thank you, everyone, so much for tuning in. We have many folks we'd like to thank. Check out our thanks section on the website, coinconcede.com, where you can find our contact info, show notes, patron information. You can support us over at patreon.com/coinconcede. Join us every week live by following us on Twitch at twitch.coinconcede.com. Join our community chats in our Discord at discord.coinconcede.com, or into our email at coinconcede@gmail.com. Follow us on Twitter at coinconcede. Like, share, and follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/coinconcede. To like some CC swag, head over to our shop at shop.coinconcede.com. Big thanks to our producers, Number Theory, Doge K, Proby1, Crush Cat, Beef Squatch, David P, Fade to Block, Walu, Jeremy T, Bottle Caps, and Lucky. Thank you so much, Superior David, for the enormous raid and a lot of shake weights. And thank you so much to Child of Huron for the sub. Coin concedes. I don't know. Who's got one ready? Who got one? None of us wrote anything down.
I'm just going to coin concede to both of you, because I had quite the day at work today, and I was in a foul mood when I logged off. And I did say in our chat that I had full confidence that I was going to feel significantly better despite the subject material after doing the show with the 2 of you, and I am not disappointed. So coin concede to both of you for salvaging this day for me.
I am sorry about your meetings.
Yes, I am too, but I'm happy that they're over, and I'm happy that we did the show. So,
yeah. Edelweiss?
Gosh. Yeah. Sorry.
Okay, I've got a few.
You
Think.
go first.
Just think. So, Nina is noob. She put together every possible, or every revealed Battlegrounds thing in one Twitter thread. I was looking for one centralized place to look. She put it together. Thanks, Nina. Shout out to Smax PW for subbing just now. Thank you, Smax. I hope Smax is the way to pronounce that. I'm going to write it down. Thank you so much to Educated Collins, Shady Bunny, Mitchell, and Dom. The Hearthstone Battlegrounds podcast had Mitchell and Dom on for a few episodes where they did all the quest reveal stuff. The amount of transparency that they shared when talking about the mode was just wonderful, and you can tell their excitement is so enjoyable, contagious, fun. I cannot imagine what it's like to be a game designer that also said, hey, by the way, you know that cool thing you've been working on? We're going to throw some economy stuff on top of it. I'm sure it won't be a problem. No one will equate your cool thing in the game with the economy stuff outside the game, right? Yeah, they did. So I can't imagine what they're going through. But the gameplay stuff in this patch makes me want to play a lot of Battlegrounds. So thank you for doing that. It looks really, really fun. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Cool.
I mean, the whole development team, right? Because, like, you know, I know that they're getting some flack and they're getting crap from everywhere, and like undeservedly so, because they're not the ones that are making those decisions, right? And like, and if you're listening to this, and you know, I mean, you probably would not be the kind of person, if you're getting this far, to do that. But yeah, like the developers who are just out there trying to make a fun game don't have anything to do with the business decisions, and they don't need any of that, you know, collateral damage unless it's the card. So yeah, but my heart goes out to them because they're just trying to do their job and make a fun thing for people. And you know, every so often they get caught in the crossfire of stuff like this, and it sucks for them. And would that we had, you know, more positive discourse, that at least if we're going to be angry, direct the anger in the right direction. But that doesn't always happen.
Anyone want to call out Edel?
Yeah, you know what? Thinking about it, I'd like to concede to Celestalon for joining us, toughing out the whole 2-hour episode to provide some extra insights and stuff, and just generally trying to help out with as much information as possible. And then as well to Alkaline, who I'm going to be meeting up with this weekend for dinner, I guess. Yeah.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Daring Alkaline, not Alkali Lake.
No.
Okay.
She's in Idaho. I'm not going to Idaho.
Okay.
That's not.
But I'm glad that you two are finally getting to do that. That's awesome.
Yeah. They're in my area, so it'll be great.
Very nice. I enjoy card game dinners. They're fun.
Yes.
All right, everyone. That's gonna do it. So thank you so much for tuning in. Keep calm. Save those runestones. If you see us on ladder, coin concede.
Coin concede.
Coin concede.
Stopping recording. Okay. Whew, we did it. I think we were balanced. I think we were. I think so.
I mean,
we were balanced like a patch.
I'm sure I will have
too soon.
Fresh haters, but.
What is this? 358? Is that what this is?
I believe so.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm only the one who types into the show notes every week. You would think I would know.
I wouldn't.
Yeah.
Just a number. Jay, correct. Did you stream the your thing? I want to watch somebody play it, and I figure it might as well be you. If you streamed it, I can go watch the VOD because I want to watch what quests look like in action.
This might be the thing that gets my daughters into BGs. Because they like
magical girls?
anything like Sailor Moon adjacent is, at least the older one.
You know,
like
how was the remake? Is it
the Sailor Moon remake?
Yeah.
I don't know. I haven't watched any of it. I don't know. I don't even know like what she's watched and what she hasn't.
Okay.
She goes all you and she would get along.
How was the remake?
Yeah, you and she would get along like gangbusters because she goes deep into the anime. And I don't even know like half the stuff that she's watching.
Yeah,
or more manga actually than anime. She's more reading manga than
I've been in a way past week and just like going through a bunch of series. I finished Ascendance of a Bookworm, another one called Classroom of the Elite. I'm just like,
I like the aesthetic, but just like I don't I don't even know where to start, and it's
The
something
answer is
that
Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. If you start and end with Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, it will have been enough.
Okay. I will see if one of them will take me on a journey at some point. But yeah. But yeah, I think that this might be the thing that gets her back in, because this is the one who only played Rogue because she thought Valera looked like Taylor Swift. So this was years ago. So she's not entirely wrong. So yeah, so I think that she might dig this if we get the battle pass for her. Maureen's been trying to get them into any sort of an esports scholarship after watching players. So it's probably a little bit healthier than trying to play League. A little bit.
It's worth noting the executive producer of Hearthstone is an enormous Taylor Swift fan. Nathan Lyon Smith loves Taylor Swift more than anybody. Loves Taylor Swift. Yeah.
I mean, there are worse songs that I could be subjected to when they come up in my playlists, because our Apple Music accounts were merged for a while, so I got all their random likes. There are worse things that could come up.
Yeah. I think the only thing I'm even close to that big a fan of, and I don't think I am if we're making a comparison, but the only thing close would be Trash Taste Podcast. I'm excited to get to see a live show.
That'll be fun.
In late September. It's my birthday present to myself.
I've never gone to a live. I mean, I've been part of a live podcast recording, but I've never been to one.
I mean, they're not common. I've been to one. It was Welcome to Night Vale. It was fun. It was good.
And my brother and me does them from time to time. Like my old podcast, we did a live show at PAX once, and that was pretty cool. But it wasn't particularly well attended, but that's okay. It was still cool to get to do it.
It's fine.
Wouldn't it be sweet if end of next year we got to go to a BlizzCon or something and record in a hotel?
I think
we've done that.
To make that happen.
We have done that. Yeah.
I have never done that.
We did that while eating burgers.
I have never been to BlizzCon.
Okay. That was rad. We played way too much Battlegrounds, then immediately drove off site to get burgers with chili on them from waitresses with roller skates. Then we went back and we played way too much Battlegrounds immediately after.
That is not the same thing as talking to each other and with a live audience.
Well, a live audience, yeah, but I assume it would be hotel room, which we also did, because I spent 10 minutes trying to explain Galakron to Andrew in Stormrage, because it was Galakron.
Oh yeah, I remember that. I bet we could probably get a small audience if we wanted to do it in one of those rooms at Calm Before the Storm or something like that.
Probably, I'm sure
I bet we could get that to happen.
Yeah, it'd be enjoyable.
Yeah. Well, squad goals.
I would definitely do the thing where the Angry Chicken thing, where you leave an empty chair and mic at the end of the table in case any developers just happen to drop by. You never know. You never know. It's Celestlon is saying he's never missed a single BlizzCon. So what you do, you lead a Celestlon trap. You just leave an AMF, Adios Mother Effer. It's a drink. You leave one on the end of the table, and you just wait. And he will appear and start drinking it.
Do you put it under a big box with a stick under it?
Do we bring dog food?
It's you can put a picture of Mams.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I'm all ready to go. The kids are thrilled that I go to BlizzCon, because then they go to Disneyland for the week.
Yeah.
So everybody's ready to go as long as they have one.
There was a Denny's podcast.
There was a Denny's. That is true.
That's a Deck Tech trap. You just sit outside at Denny's and leave an empty chair with some shitty food, and Deck Tech's like, hey, hey,
I smell pancakes.
Pancakes. Okay.
I won't be gluten-free like I was back then, too. I can actually enjoy it.
It'll be pro-gluten.
Yes.
So I think we're done. I think we'll go.
Yes.
So who are we rating? We rating somebody?
Racy.
Racy?
I like Racy. But is it
Yeah.
just twitch.tv/Racy?
That is it.
It is, yeah.
Okay. Hey, everyone. Go say hi to Racy. Now I want pancakes. Thanks, Steve.
Sorry.
You know, Ray was
I'm-
thinking about trying to organize like a Midwest meetup with like all the creators in around like, you know, Chicago, Cleveland, and in between. So
He's not anywhere near there, though.
no, but he's gonna visit me.
Oh, okay.
Oh, Midwest. You can meet at a Steak and Shake.
How are you? Do you have Dunkin' Donuts out there?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Then he'll be fine. Okay.
Yeah.
You should just do it at Dunkin' Donuts.
Look, I'm not Jace.
habitat.
I'm not going to subject him to, you know, designer coffee all the time.
Oh my god.
No.
I know what he likes.
Okay. I'm going to go raid Racy. Everyone go say hi to Racy. We're done here. I'm going to go eat. Bye.
Bye. And I realize I saved the file, but I didn't upload the file, which does not help with the editing.